check. Mic check. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Beautiful sunny day in Mesa, Arizona, where the temperature will be a lot. Just a lot. Sorry I missed you guys all this weekend. Thursday had to run early. I apologize. I got a lot of messages about that. I think some people missed at the beginning. I announced that at some point I may get a phone call and I'd have to end the live immediately. And it just so happened to happen like right after I was announcing it for the second time. So apologize for that. I think that is done. That was just something I had to take care of with the courts. Believe that's done. Friday, took the day off to watch the United States men's national team win again. Who was that? Where were all the people that were saying they sucked? Where you guys at? That's a pretty good football team right there. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has now said that Ibrahimovic, I guess, I don't remember exactly how to say it, has said yes, the United States can win the World Cup, and if they do, that means we have 12 years of good presidents. I think that's going to happen.
Is that the same? Is that how it goes?
I mean, look, if the United States wins a soccer tournament with all the other countries in the world who all play, then yeah, I think that's a sign of things changing.
Okay, like I said, I think we talked about this before. I don't follow soccer. Has the U.S. men's ever won?
Men have never come close. The women are incredible. They've won a bunch of World Cups. I don't know exactly how many they've won, and they're always like a top 2 or 3 team every single time.
Well, that's what she said.
Good point, Jay Resi. The U.S. team is all immigrants. The story of our star forward, he is, I believe, was born in Nigeria, raised in England. Ironically, is only a U.S. citizen because his mom came here when she was like 7.5 months pregnant. And then the airlines would not let her fly back to England. So she wound up having her child here. And that is the only. So this is like legitimately like half our roster is either anchor babies or like foreign service members who were stationed overseas, and so they have dual citizenship. A bunch of these guys didn't even grow up in the United States, and ironically, for all those Trump supporters that are celebrating, I'm happy to have you celebrating with us. But please just know that everything that you advocate for would make it so that we sucked. So there we go. Jen, did you say something?
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, I think there's a little bit of an echo on your end, so it sounds sometimes
it was
like you're saying
muted.
something.
I was muted.
You were?
Yes, I was. Are you hearing things again?
I wonder if it echoes through Discord. No, there's definitely. I don't know if the people. Do you guys hear it in the chat? Do you hear that? Like right now, I'm hearing an echo. You guys hear that? Maybe not. Yeah, you guys hear it too. It's just it's just a little bit. There it is again. Just like a delay. I think it might be a Discord thing. It might be like a delay thing.
Maybe.
We'll figure that out someday. Probably. How was your weekend? How many dates?
I went out with one person who I've actually seen him a handful of times.
Ooh. A handful?
I think we've seen each other 4 times.
So 1 handful? 2 handfuls?
Missing a thumb, I guess. I guess.
Never mind.
Missing a thumb.
For a second, I thought you were saying he was missing a thumb.
No.
So never mind.
No.
Wow. These are just flying over Jen's head today. This is great.
No, I saw one person. So I was supposed to go out on Friday night, and he said that he needed to reschedule. Something came up, which is fine. But we were messaging yesterday, and some of the texts that he sent to me, I'm pretty sure weren't for me. I'm like 95% sure that they weren't for me. So we were
I love your
scheduled
bulge.
for tomorrow.
I don't think that's for me.
We were supposed to reschedule for tomorrow. So I had sent him a message back like, I think you might have put this in the wrong.
What did he say that makes you believe that it wasn't for you? Probably when he texted Diana.
I mean, the conversation, like we talked about. I think he asked something like, so yesterday, Spawn and I ended up binge watching Vampire Diaries.
Never seen it.
I hadn't really either, but she wanted to watch it.
Okay.
So in the text conversation, because and fun fact, we've never done that. She talked about wanting to go thrifting. We've never gone thrifting. It's never been a thing we've done.
Send her my way. She can come hang out here for a weekend. There's a thrift store. Like, I could walk 1,000 feet that way. There's a thrift store. I'll take her.
Well, there's plenty here too. It's just something that we haven't done. But sorry, we ended up watching, like I said, Vampire Diaries yesterday. And so, like, I mentioned something about Vampire Diaries, watching it, and he ended up he said something about he had a get together with his family yesterday for Father's Day, that they were cooking at his house. Something about his sister was helping prep food or something, and it was just completely separate from what it didn't even relate at all to the conversation. I'm like, yeah, I don't think.
It was just a bad communicator. I've done that. That's not always a bad thing. I've definitely texted the wrong people. It doesn't mean that it doesn't sound like it was a bad one.
If you're I guess if you're trying to talk to someone about going on dates, and it's just a comment. I don't know if he just that or he was drinking. I don't know.
Could be either, but remember that men are dumb. And
yes, 100%. Your species is absolutely dumb. So
I was cooking on Saturday. I was cooking on Saturday, and like in the middle of cooking, I needed butter, and I had set out a stick of butter, and I couldn't find the butter for the life of me. And then I was like, where the hell is my drink? Not only I got out another stick of butter, and then I was like, where's my drink too? And couldn't find it. And about 2 hours later, my daughter wanted ice, and I got in the freezer to get ice, and my drink and the stick of butter were sitting in the freezer. Don't even know how that happened.
Done that. You've left your drinks in the freezer.
Well, that I do. The drink part makes sense because I like them really cold, like colder than the fridge gets them. So I throw them in the freezer for 20 minutes. But I apparently put them.
You forget.
Yeah, but also it was not a drink that I wanted cold. So I don't know why I did it.
Yeah. Well, what drink did you not want cold? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was just a whiskey. Yeah,
got it.
I like it room temperature sometimes.
Got it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Jen, you want to do your thing? We'll get started.
Sure. So people are asking. So I don't know if I'm team either for Stefan or Damon, but Spawn very much is team Damon. So I think she's digging him quite a bit. So
I'm on Spawn's side here. I'm team Damon. I don't know who these people are, but I'm team Spawn, so team Damon.
You're just gonna agree with Spawn. Got it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we can get going. Anyways, all right. Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday, so we're gonna get going for the show. So we've got our gift goal. You have to update the total.
Thank you.
So we've got the gift goal that we need to hit each day to keep the lights on. This is our job. So if you guys can help us out, knock that out. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards knocking out that gift goal. Preferably if we do the pay links, the Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal, because they take less from us. But anything is appreciated. If you're not already a member, subscriber, is there another term? I'm trying to think. Member, subscriber.
What's going on right now?
I was trying to think if there's another term for a sub. Anyway.
You're talking about your dates now again? Are we back on your dating?
No.
Okay.
If you're not a paid member on any one of the platforms, why not? Because you can join us for members only events. We have one coming up this Wednesday. I'm going to make this channel, because I've said this, I think, the last however many days. I'm going to make a channel that is only accessible to members or subscribers, so that we can drop in movie recommendations. I'm going to do that right now after I do announcements for anything we want to watch for this Wednesday.
Real quick real quick to jump in there to just while we're on the members events. This Wednesday we will have a members only event. We haven't chosen a movie for that. However, if you're in the Discord, did we make a channel for that yet, for movie ideas?
That's what I was just saying.
John wasn't listening. Sorry. Did you make the channel for it? This is a bad start. We could start over.
That's why literally, you literally interrupted
I'm so
me.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
You literally interrupted me that's what I'm saying. That I'm going to do that right after I get done.
I was reading something on my phone. I'm sorry. That's terrible. That's misogyny, guy. Don't be a misogynist like me. Listen to women.
I mean, half the time, there's sometimes during the show where like I'm half listening to. It's fair. It's whatever. Yeah, no, I'm gonna make that channel right after the announcements, and it's going to be accessible to members and subscribers only in Discord. So
sorry. Keep going. But also one other thing I wanted to ask.
In the freezer all over again.
Yeah. Also on Thursday, I'm going in the Discord for members. We're gonna we'll do. I don't know. You said we can maybe get 100. We'll see how many people want to join us. But I'll stream the soccer game on Thursday night. I think it's like I don't remember what time it is. It might be 9 Eastern. I think I'll check. But Thursday, US plays their final group stage game, and I'm going to stream that in the Discord as well.
All right.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna make that channel.
Did you make that announcement already?
No, because I didn't know that was your plan. So,
thank God.
But it sounds good. All right. If you guys disagree with RGP and you'd like to come up and have a conversation, how you do that is you send me a message on Discord. And my Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Deb with the 2 B's, and the number 1. And I can bring you up and have a conversation in real time. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. If on TikTok, if we can get the likes up to, let's get the likes up to 25K. And I don't know if the share feature is working over there, but if we could also share it to, like, if we have 30 shares, that would be dope. So we can hopefully stay up on TikTok, see how long that lasts. So yeah, if we can knock out that gift goal, that would be fantastic. Are you still laughing at yourself?
I'm laughing at Caffeine, who said, if you guys talked about Wednesday's members event yet. So it's just, maybe that was funny.
All right. What did the female dinosaur call her blouse making business?
I haven't got any of these in a long time. I haven't guessed any of these in a long time. Blouse making business. I don't know.
Triceratops.
Damn. That's good. I like that one. Okay. All right, Jen. Thank you very much, guys. Sorry for the brain lapses this morning. My bad. Damien, thanks for sending. I get probably on the rewatch on Saturday if you're here. Appreciate you sending the donation over on Cash App. Like Jen said, this is how we're funded. This is how we keep things going. And if you're over on TikTok and you enjoy watching us on TikTok, today we will be talking about Tulsi Gabbard's like dumbest fucking memo ever on COVID and the origins of COVID, and as they try and bury Fauci. And so there's a real chance on TikTok we get taken down today. If you'd like to help us stay alive, just make sure when you can, if you can gift Johnny leading the way over there with 304 coins. But we've been told multiple times that the reason we don't get the protection on TikTok, and these are by our representatives, is that we don't make TikTok any money, so they don't give a shit about us because they take their cut off of the gifts. So, and we don't sell anything into. Maybe we'll start doing a live shopping channel once a week so that TikTok can keep us up. We'll see what happens. And then like Jen said, Super Chats, Venmo, Cash App, we prefer the pay apps because they take less of that money from us. But we appreciate YouTube giving us that option. Jamar said, have you guys announced the channel for Wednesday's event yet? No, we haven't yet. I think Jen forgot about that in the announcements, but she'll probably do that tomorrow. Time for Tulsi to stand down. Well, she did. That was her last day in office, so we'll get there in a second. But I wanted to kick things off with something that we don't do enough of, probably because it gets old. But this is Decoding Fox News, and she does this thing that's pretty awesome, where she does Trump quotes like that without having to use Trump's face. Similar, I feel like maybe she stole this idea from us, where we would just read things that Trump said in speeches and make you guess what he's saying. But I wanted to show one just to ease us into today's outline.
Without Trump, you wouldn't have to listen to his voice or see his face. This quote is unedited and 100% accurate. This is from a press gaggle near the Lincoln Memorial on May 7th, 2026. These are the words of the President of the United States of America. It used to be a dirt path, and it wasn't built because of the Civil War. Civil War got in the way. The Eagles are up. They were built later.
Sherry said, Mr. Face, say my name, RTP. Thank you, Sherry. Happy Monday, Sherry.
But the Eagles are up. But they haven't been. It hasn't been built. And people, a lot of times, they'll be going over the river, the bridge, and they'll be saying, why isn't this built? And then they've been saying that for over 100 years. So you're going to have something built there. So we're really fixing up Washington, D.C. on a bigger front, even bigger front. Worldwide, our military is unbelievable. They're doing an unbelievable job. We're negotiating with the Iranians. You probably heard, we took out 3 destroyers and we rammed them through some pretty big stuff today, and we knocked the hell out of them. The destroyers weren't hurt in any way. The people weren't hurt, but they were firing at us, and we were firing back at them. And our firepower was a hell of a lot stronger than theirs, and they knocked the hell out of them. They took down a lot of small boats. You know, we call them small boats or fast boats. They're both small and they're fast, with some weaponry on the front. You know, this is now replacing the Navy. They had a Navy, 159 boats. They have none, okay? They're all at the bottom of the sea. So they replaced that with what they call the fast boats. It's a fast, but a big deal. It's fast. Got a machine gun up front? They've been knocked down again. Quite a few of them today. And yesterday, they knocked down 8. The average 8 a day. It's the same group of people we're dealing with. And it's very simple. Somebody said, what's your plan? I said, the plan is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Donald J. Trump.
Oh, good. 8 years. That guy is probably going to be president for 8 full goddamn years in this country, and he can't complete a sentence that makes any sense at all. And we're just still pretending that this is real. Like, I am more and more convinced by the day that this is the Truman Show, and that I am Truman. The amount of shit that happens every day in my life, mostly because of our president and things that he says and things that they do, and the things that I have to watch over and over, that I'm like, how did this happen? I want to give you another example of just insanity. The GOP is just like, hey, if our president's going to be insane, and the person who tells us what to do is going to be insane, we're just going to embrace that. And we're just going to be insane. This is Roger Marshall speaking about the Iran talks initially, but then he's talking about the SAVE Act. John Thune has said, Thune, is it Thune? I say Thune. Thune has said that they don't have the votes to pass the SAVE Act. They certainly don't have the votes to nuke the filibuster and get rid of I don't know why we always say nuke the filibuster, but get rid of the filibuster. And so now Donald Trump is going to get all the Republicans together, put them in a room, and convince them that we need to, 1, get rid of the filibuster, and 2, pass the SAVE Act. Let's just leave the part that where their whole defense of the SAVE Act is to say 80% of Americans support the SAVE Act. And that's just not true. It's 80% of Americans say that you should have to prove your citizenship in order to vote, which is the craziest part, is that it's not 100%, because we already do that. And of course, you should have to prove your citizenship to vote. Of course, you should do that. When you register to vote, you should have to prove your citizenship. That number is too low. It has nothing to do with the SAVE Act, because all 50 states require you to prove your citizenship before you, as you register to vote. That's part of it. You can't register to vote if you can't prove your citizenship. If you do register to vote and can't prove your citizenship, somehow get through, you will not be eligible to vote, except for occasional lapses in the systems. And we always catch those. And then those votes don't count. So here's Senator Marshall explaining now what their plan is.
I don't know where Jay Clayton, I don't know where that nomination is at this point. How does this play out with the 250th coming up soon and everything else?
So 53 Republican senators, you're going to find 53 opinions. We're very strong-willed, typically top of our class type of folks. So we've got opinions, and the hope.
The party that has Lauren Boebert and James Comer and Jim Jordan and Andy Biggs and Chip Roy and who's that psychopath? David Schweikert, and that guy that's down here, Louis Gohmert, and who's that psycho in Arizona? Why do I always forget his name? 53 people in the United States Senate. I guess those weren't all senators. I wouldn't describe the Republican Senate and Congress as top of the class type people. There's some. Like Kennedy was top of his class. He went to Harvard. These are not like top of your class type people. I don't know what they're talking about, but the self-importance reminds me of like all the billionaires who think that the reason that they're billionaires is because they're smarter than everybody.
Type of folks. So we've got to
Gosar. That's what it was. Somebody said Cozard, and somehow that reminded me of Gosar. Paul Gosar is his name. Psycho. Eli Crane, yeah. I guess we're talking about the Senate here, though.
Folks, so we've got opinions, and the hope is the debate.
Is this no? Roger Marshall does not work for George Soros. Roger Marshall works for the Republicans. Who does work for George Soros is Scott Bessent, who's in charge of basically all of our economic decisions. And for the first time in our lives, there is somebody directly, like George Soros' right-hand man, Scott Bessent, is actually Treasury Secretary. That's never happened with all the Democrats. All this power that George Soros has, it took Donald Trump for him to get his plant into the government. So, no, he's not working for George Soros. But it appears that the Republican Party now is, whether they're working for him or not, they're following what George Soros likes to do.
In us, we take 2 + 2 and turn it into 8. I do.
Excuse me. We're going to ask that question. What?
Debate within us, we take 2 + 2 and turn it into 8.
Anybody? May want to explain that to me? They're just saying it. There's like, we're not doing math. We just want to make shit up now. Want to hear it one more time? This is the analogy he chose.
The debate within us, we take 2 + 2 and turn it into 8. I do think we have the votes for, say, 50 votes to get SAVE across the finish line, but not that enough votes that would flip the filibuster in order to get there. So depending on which SAVE Act you're talking about.
You may want to explain 2 + 2. It's 8. No, it's 4. Yeah, but we made it 8. All right, it's 8. Republicans are like, no, it's 8 now. We just do that. We just do this thing now where we just pretend words and math and science don't have meaning. 2 + 2 is 8 now.
Details of it. So I think that at least 50 Republicans, if not all 53, want to make sure that you have some type of ID when you vote and proof of citizenship when you register. But we're not. But they want to flip the filibuster. And again, I think the filibuster. I bet it's a third and a third and a third for it, against it, flipping it, and then a third that are undecided.
Yeah. He thinks that it's a third, and a third of people that don't want to. Like, it's pretty cut and dry who wants to nuke the filibuster. By the way, half the Democrats who are against ending the filibuster would vote to end the filibuster if it was the other way around. And same with the Republicans. Nobody actually, the reason they can't end the filibuster is nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants our country to be run by simple majority.
I think but the president's coming Wednesday.
And by the way, if I don't have a principled stance on this. I want to be clear on this. I try and have like strong principles on a lot of things. If it got down to it where they said we're going to end the filibuster to make sure that we get single payer healthcare, I'm all in on ending the filibuster. I would do that. But they're talking about ending the filibuster, which is something that keeps our country from being ruled by like a simple majority, over the SAVE Act, over like an actual voter suppression bill. That's what the Republicans are arguing for right now. Hey, we need to get rid of this pesky filibuster so that we can pass laws that make it harder for people to vote. We're not the same. I'm not a big fan of Democrats all the time. Certainly not a big fan of the Republicans. But you're willing to get rid of the filibuster to make it so harder for people to vote. Instead of coming up with good ideas, which they have none of, they're just like, what if, since we don't have good ideas, we just make it easier for us to pass laws by ending the filibuster.
To meet with all of us. Looking forward to that. He's going to try to sell all these issues. And by the way, he's one of the better salesmen I've ever met.
As his dick just fills with blood. He's the best salesman. Is he a good salesman? I don't know. If maybe. He's convinced a lot of people that he's smart. He might be one of the best salesmen ever to exist. He's done that pretty well. Look at those fake ass teeth. Those are some fake ass teeth. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that's what we're dealing with. On the flip side, we have this group of people.
More babies.
The Turning Point USA is holding their women's conference, which I don't know how that works. I assume it just takes place in the kitchen. I don't know whose kitchen it is, but since that's, I assume that they are in between breaks from cooking and gestating children. They are talking, which I don't know if they're even allowed to be amongst each other talking about things, but they're talking now about feminism. And TPUSA and the Republican women are trying to give this message to women that they can have it all. CNN put this montage together from the women's conference. And then I'm going to show you some clips from Dean, who went on Jubilee and debated some people about women's issues. And I don't know. I don't know if we know. I don't know if have it all means what we think it means.
And you can afford.
I'm at the Turning Point Women's Leadership Summit, where a lot of women have come for the first conference since Erica Kirk took over the organization after her husband was assassinated last fall. A lot of the speakers have talked about how feminism has hurt women, how you should get married early and have more kids, maybe more than you can.
Thank you, DH. Those things I said about women being in the kitchen and having babies, those were jokes, bud. I was pretending to be a Republican.
Afford.
Feminism is the biggest lie we have ever been sold as women.
But the attendees have had a little more nuance in their analysis. Some have even said you can have it all.
From what I see, like society has co-opted the word feminism, which should just be the equality of the sexes, which I really do believe in, to be something of pushing us the other sex down, which I really don't believe in.
I've run 3 companies and have a nonprofit and adopted children. So I feel like the messages to me were that women can do it all.
And how do you see that as different from feminism?
Good question. That is a great question. I feel like feminism is...
We should never forgive Donald Trump for normalizing this color of a face, ever. She just said like I've had kids.
Is the pursuit.
So that's feminism. I had kids. It's feminism.
Of I need nobody, and I don't need a man. I don't need others.
So I feel like the left is so focused.
Can I ask a question to the men in here? They're saying this. I don't think this is most women's argument. I don't want to speak for women, but. Shouldn't you not have to have a man? Like, shouldn't that be how this works? Like, I don't feel like I need to have a woman in my life. I don't have to. I can be successful without a woman in my life. What's wrong with that take that you don't need a man to be successful and happy? They're talking about the equality of the sexes. Like, isn't that what that means? That you should, like, there shouldn't be impediments to your happiness and your direction? Having a man won't fix, like having a man shouldn't fix any of your impediments.
Feminism equals abortion, and that's like not at all what feminism should be for. It should just be like, how can we empower women to fulfill what they feel like their calling is?
A lot of the left say that they don't need.
Question for the audience. One, I don't think any of the feminists that I've spoken to or the feminists that I follow or listen to, I've never heard one of them be like, it's just about abortion. However, the second part of that statement is it should just be about like them being able to do what they want to do. Right. Like if they want to have a career instead of be a mother, but they still want to have sex and they happen to get pregnant, they should be able to pursue what they want to do and not be forced to have a child. Right. All of this stuff is so silly. Like if they just asked one more question to themselves of like what equality actually looks like, this is what we're talking about.
Men, but we do.
Speaker Savannah Stone is a married 21-year-old who's built an audience advocating for traditional gender roles in a sometimes provocative way.
Submission gets a bad rep because it's seen as slavery for whatever reason. But submission is a trust and it's teamwork. It means the woman serves the husband and the husband lays down his life for the wife, because women are controlled by their emotions and men are controlled by.
Another thing, women lay down their lives for men to have, like the risk of having a child puts your life in danger. I was at no risk when I had my child. My life was not in danger. My daughter's mom certainly put her life at risk. Like that's laying down your life, right? So weird. They're like, well, man, it's always about war to them, which you don't have to do. Most men in this country have not risked their life for this country. The overwhelming majority of men in this country never had their life placed at risk for this country or for their loved ones. They just go to work. That's what they do. They go to work sometimes, I guess. I don't know what she's talking about.
Logic.
She goes viral a lot on TikTok for talking about women submitting to their husbands, being submissive. What do you think of that?
I mean, that's what the Bible calls us to do, so that's what I think is true. The words sound kind of crazy and a little controversial, but I mean, I believe what the Bible says, and I think what's true, and I think she said it great in there.
Have more.
Nothing says empowerment like I do what a 2,000-year-old book, not even 2,000-year-old book, like 600-year-old book tells me to do. You know what I mean? Like, we want to live our lives how we please. How do you do that? Well, we follow the rules in this book. And that's it. Everybody else should have to follow the rules in this book too, because that's what I believe. Even her saying, like, it sounds crazy and it sounds out there, but I believe it. I believe the book. What's with the music? I don't know. Talk to CNN about that. They put the music behind it. Which led me to these clips. I watched most of Dean's debate on Jubilee. For the record, I actually like these Jubilee episodes, and I like the people at Jubilee. I know a lot of people don't. They've treated me really well, and they're very kind people. They reach out from time to time with stuff that they think I would like to do. I haven't been able to go back and make it work, but I like these debates. This was just insane to me to watch Dean debate women on whether or not women should be abused. Or whether or not women should be allowed to be leaders. Here's this first one discussing with this woman, like, who are better leaders?
We need strong alpha males like Donald J. Trump, Spencer Pratt, and our loved Charlie Kirk, who will have secure borders.
I'd like to talk about this voice, too. The Fundy voice is outrageous. DH, you like how bothered we get by what? What do you, before this goes, like, what do you mean it bothers us what? That women say that they should be submissive and follow a book? Of course, that's stupid. If the book wasn't the Bible that you believed in, if it was just like some book, you would be like, that's stupid. People should make up their own minds. They shouldn't base their life on a book. The only reason you think, like, the only reason that your response is, I love how triggered it gets people, is because it's fucking stupid. It's really fucking stupid to make all of your decisions based on that book. And then also, first of all, the book doesn't even necessarily say that. There are like instances where women are supposed to be submissive. I would agree that the theme overall is that women are second-class citizens. They're never the hero in any of these stories. A lot of times they're used as a caution, like, look what happened when this woman didn't listen. She turned into a pillar of salt. Look what happened when Eve chose to eat a piece of fruit. Like, they're the bad guys a lot, but like, that bothers you? Triggered hard? My brother. I don't know if you know what triggered means. I hope you have a really, really good day today.
Who will not let criminals
Did you just
on the street.
unironically say strong alpha males? Get a grip. Stand up.
You
Listen.
girl, get a grip. You're a man. Do you want to mansplain to me?
Well, I mean, actually, you just said that men are better at leading than women, so you should listen to every word that comes out of my mouth per your perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that men are the strong alpha males and women are the emotional followers, why won't you follow my lead and listen to what I have to say?
Because it says nice by Dean. That was really good.
You don't believe what
That
you
is
say.
a straw man. I believe that man.
It's not a straw man. That's literally what you just said. That's correctly citing your opinion back to you.
Male and female are created equal in the image of God. We
Thanks,
each
Damien.
have the same dignity and the same value. We have the same brain, the same rationality, but we have different and distinct roles.
Okay.
Why is it that women can get pregnant? Only females can get pregnant.
Okay.
Why can't men get pregnant?
Well, of course.
Someone's got to teach these people biology. Someone's got to teach them the difference between a penis and a vagina. Someone's got to teach them about a uterus. Somebody's got to teach these MAGA folks about the reproductive system. There's a reason for that.
Of course, that would boil down to the physical biology.
Physical biology.
Because
Isn't that innate that women are more geared towards child rearing and child raising than men are?
So once again, the way that we started this conversation was by me agreeing that there are going to be differences between men and women.
Exactly.
You just simply
So men
Can
are
I
better
finish?
leaders.
I would love if I could finish. You can't say because there's differences between two things that thereby innately one of the two things is going to be better at leading than the other. Like, I think that's ridiculous. Listen, once again, my claim is that the differences that do exist between men and women ultimately don't amount to justifying the claim that men are better at leading than women. And let me respond, because you made a lot of claims.
On and on.
I think it's been the opposite.
Okay.
To respond to your claims,
Thank
you
you,
said
sir.
that there's a difference in the hormonal balances of men and women that make women more emotional. Well, I mean, I already went over this with
It's not even just more emotional. It's that our bodies are not equipped to handle the same levels of cortisol as men. We
They're
need
actually
more
more
care.
equipped.
Look at Donald Trump.
That is, for the record, insane. Like, that's just not true. It's just fundamentally not true. that women are not able to handle like cortisol in the same way as men. Yeah, because they're better at it. They handle stress far worse. Or better, excuse me, far better. Sorry. Like there's nothing I will go through in my life as traumatic as childbirth. But like we've looked at these studies, and Dean's going to explain it. But what I want to know is who convinced these women of this, and how did we get to a point where you've got women here arguing like, hey, we shouldn't be allowed to make decisions because biologically you're better at making decisions. At the same time, arguing, like Dean said, with a man on the other side. How did that happen? How did we get to this point?
A
They're
man
more
literally
equipped.
lives off of Diet Coke and McDonald's.
Okay.
We could not do that.
Okay. Listen, actually, women are more equipped than men to deal with stress. It is proven by the science.
That's actually not true.
No, I'll tell you. You could look this up. Anybody at home could look this up. Women have thicker dendrites in their brain, and study after study after study has concluded time and time and time again that this gives women the ability to better manage their stress than men. And you actually brought this up. You brought up childbirth. The reason why women have thicker dendrites in their brain, giving them a greater navigation ability, giving them a greater ability to deal with their pain and stress, is because of childbirth. Okay?
Yes, because
and that's exactly why women can deal with their
thing.
stress better than men. So your claim that the opposite is true is wrong. And plus, once again, when we look in society, how men deal with stress compared to how women deal with stress, well, when a man gets mad, he commits a violent crime, he kills his wife, he kidnaps his children, he sets his house ablaze. And this is why men are significantly more likely to commit every single crime on the books, including crimes that do not have a necessity for any use of physical strength, such as arson, cyberbullying,
If you think
or
women are such good
terroristic
leaders, why won't you
threats.
let me speak?
Well, I'll happily let you speak in response to the things that I've said, as long as you're able to stay on
I
topic
am
and
able to
respond to
stay
the
on
meat on the
topic
bone.
because I'm a woman and I have a brain. Thank you very much.
Okay, well.
All right. I want to point something out to you there, Mark. I appreciate you being here today. Too. I've been married for 30 years, and I'm full of crap about emotions. Your response to what we're talking about scientifically was to tell us about your emotions and get kind of angry about it and say that I was full of crap. Let me ask you a question, Mark. Does your wife show up on YouTube streams every single day and emotionally react to the host of that YouTube stream? Or is that just like in your relationship, is that just you? Is she here with you right now? Is she doing that same thing? Is she right now on a YouTube stream getting very upset that we said you might be emotional? It's out of curiosity. Because you're here every day. Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. You're here every day. And you say you emotionally react to everything that I say. I've invited you to come up here and talk to me, which you would think, like, as a big, strong alpha male, that you would certainly do that. You wouldn't just sit in the comments and generically like choose insults for me, right? You seem more emotional. Like your responses. In fact, if we went through, Jen can do this, but like if we went through at the end today and looked at your comments, they're mostly going to be emotional opinions and anger directed at me. What Dean said there was just true. Anger is an emotion. Why do men commit so many more crimes, especially violent crimes? Why is it that men are committing it's like 90% of violent crimes? Why is that? I'm sorry that sometimes your wife cries and you don't know how to deal with that. And because you don't know how to deal with that, you think it's like an unknowable thing. And so you're like, oh, women are actually the most emotional ones. I'm sorry, but it's silly. It's silly. Like I'm far more emotional than like my partner. Far more. I'm more likely to get upset. I'm more likely to overreact. I'm more likely to get to have ups and downs. Far more. She's far more consistent than I am. And that's been the case with basically any relationship I've ever been in. And I think if men were honest, they would acknowledge that. I mean, watch men. I have a good friend, Dane. He won't care that I say this because he would agree with me that he's more emotional than his wife. But he's a big 49ers fan. I've never seen anything quite like my friend Dane watching a 49ers game. And it will ruin his week if the 49ers play bad. He goes from anger, from sadness, depression, and it'll affect him. He's it's been an adjustment for him as he got married and had kids. He's had to learn to pull that stuff back over a football game. Just a game he has nothing to do with. He's just watching it on his TV. But I don't think that matters, for the record. I'm just tired of being part of a group of people who are like, we're actually the ones that are that handle our emotions better, and so we should lead. Who cares? The best leader should lead. In any room, whoever the best leader is should lead. I don't think we need to split it up like this. But the prompt from conservatives is men should lead, women should be docile. I think that's silly. Yeah, you might be in a relationship where you lead and you be a man, and you might be in a relationship where you don't lead, and you have a spouse that's a woman. You might be in a well-balanced relationship where sometimes one person leads, sometimes the other person leads. You might be in a relationship where you don't need to lead because you can just communicate. It's all sorts of different relationships. But the one thing we know for sure is that it doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be any evidence that like women leading is a problem. I'd also like to point out that in America, we've never tried it. You can look at the breakthroughs we're having all around the world with leaders that are women. We don't ever talk about that. I don't think that any of the problems we have in the Middle East right now were caused by women leading. I don't think that Russia invading Ukraine was caused by women leading. I mean, is there anything, any world conflict you could really point to and say this is a direct result of women leading? I don't know that. Mama said my husband was very emotional. I appreciate that in him. He passed. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being emotional, dudes. Cry. I cry all the time. It's fine. Origami Dragon said women on average live longer than men, which is weird if they need to be taken care of. It's true. All right. Here's the next one about whether or not Trump is a sex predator. And this one fucks me up for a lot of reasons. If you get disgusted by people talking sexually about Donald Trump, prepare yourselves for this trigger warning. Get a barf bag, or maybe just go outside for a minute to get some fresh air while you're watching this. This is going to make you sick.
They had to make things.
I think it's this one. Might be the next one.
Up to get Trump. Trump doesn't have to be a sexual predator.
By the way, I wonder what her real face looks like.
Any woman would love to be with Trump.
All right, listen. Put your hand up if you would have sex with Donald Trump.
This is the one. Let's find Trump, like a recent photo of Donald Trump. Do we have any? There we go. He's raising his hand too. Where's this picture? Yeah, we'll just go back. This guy. That's all right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Do you prefer Clinton? Why don't we talk about sexual predators as far as Bill Clinton?
Why? It's not
okay,
about the
because he's a predator.
Okay, and if
Trump
he is,
doesn't
burn him,
have
throw him
to
under the
be a
jail.
sexual predator. Trump did report him to the feds.
I thought I clarified that's not what's
not true. Trump never reported him to the feds.
What happened.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong. Show me that.
If you're going to report to the feds, you wouldn't report to a sheriff, and also he didn't report to the sheriff. So not only did he not report, but the person he reported to was not the feds. And third, we don't have any idea if that story's true. That's never been confirmed.
First of all, Virginia Guthrie worked at Mar-a-Lago in the early 2000s, and he prompted her to come and work for him as a massage therapist. Trump was pissed, and he reported Epstein.
Okay, well, I would recommend looking at the...
none of that's true. Like, literally none of that's true. Trump did know about it, and he didn't do anything about it.
Check that will likely be on the video screen that says, actually, he placed this phone call after Epstein was arrested to thank the cop and to tip them off about Ghislaine Maxwell, because that's what the fact check is going to say.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is in what...
Well, one is Epstein and one is Maxwell. One happened before, one happened after, and one is reporting or ratting somebody out, and the other one is just saying good job. There's a lot of differences.
One scenario, he's reporting the crime to the cop to then get Epstein arrested. In the secondary scenario, he's thanking the cop after Epstein's arrest and indicating that he knew about what he was doing.
Indictments.
Well, I mean,
what's wrong with that?
I think that in many scenarios, what we'll see...
He also didn't add to the indictments. None of that was ever included in an indictment, ever.
From quote-unquote co-conspirators of criminals is, well, once their friend gets arrested for the same crime that they committed, we'll turn around and be all lovey-dovey to the police to try to, indicate and promote the idea that they weren't involved. And the only reason why I bring this up isn't to say I know with certainty that this is...
It's not subjective, it's anecdotal.
Is exactly what Trump did, but is rather to give plausible doubt to your argument that because he did this, we know he's not a sexual predator, even though he admitted to it on Howard Stern's radio show, and even though court found him guilty of rape.
Court never found him guilty of rape. First of all, if he was guilty of rape, he'd be in chains right now.
That's not how civil courts work.
They had to make... Yeah, it is.
Civil courts...
It's the confidence to me. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it goes to your head, the Botox. Like, it's the confidence for me. Civil court, like if you get tried in civil court, you don't go to jail. Yeah, that's how it works. No, it's obviously not how it works.
Don't send people to jail. They hold people financially liable. That's the nature of our criminal justice system.
But he would have been in jail.
You're not familiar with statute of limitations then?
I'm familiar with
What's the statute of limitations?
You can only accuse somebody within a matter of time, but right now
so
it's 30 years.
So if E. Jean Carroll, came out after the statute of limitations had passed
out of her mind,
for sexual abuse in the state of New York against Donald Trump, do you agree that even if she had a video of it happening to her, he wouldn't be in jail because the statute of limitations had passed?
That's not true. There is no statute of limitations when it comes to...
So by the law, the crime that Donald Trump committed per the New York State legal definition of sexual abuse in 2019 through 2022
never committed that crime.
was specifically sexual abuse, because legally speaking in New York, they only defined rape as penile penetration of the vagina. And she testified that he raped her with his fingers instead of his penis. So because of that,
that's a lie.
it would
There's
be
no
legally
proof of
categorized as sexual abuse, and that's the crime that had a
She's
statute
out
of
of her
limitations
mind.
on
She's
it.
insane, and they threw the case out just recently.
No, they didn't. They didn't throw the case out. None of this happened. I don't know what we do. I mean, you think that I'd like to think that like the insanity is just limited to people on the internet commenting in chats, which I see here, but it's everywhere. The lengths people will go to like obscure reality to defend Donald Trump is something I hope we learn from, and we don't have to deal with this shit again. But one more from Dean's debate here, then we'll move on.
And no offense, I don't trust a woman that named her cat vagina. You know, you may not imagine.
Is that true? Did she name her cat vagina? Can somebody look that up?
Imagine this, but when I was your age, I was a model. And I can tell you for a fact, every fashion show, every modeling call, there are men in the dressing room. There are.
That's not good. If that's true, then as a model, you were just allowing they were just allowing men to come in there and watch you change. There's no reason. Why would a man need to be in there watching you change?
Makeup artists, there are designers. It's not uncommon. And you're making it as if it's this big, huge deal. Donald Trump at the time was the head of the Miss Universe and Miss USA pageant. It wouldn't be surprising if I was in there changing for him to walk in. And you guys, because let's look at the camera. He's got a face for that one too. Let's go to E. Jean Carroll.
I thought that was actually fair. I do think Dean's hamming it up for the cameras. I think he learned the viral moment for Sam Cedar. I do think Dean's doing that.
Carol, since she already went over this for
Can
20
I respond
minutes.
to that?
Sure, but we're down to 1 minute.
It'll
You've already
only take
talked
me
about
5
this.
words.
Go.
Trump said that there were no men anywhere.
Well, I don't care what he said. I'm saying as a woman that's been backstage at many fashion shows.
He was the owner. He was the one backstage.
Everywhere.
He said that he was the owner.
Yeah, exactly, Laura. She's making the case that modeling industry is prone to exploitation. Exactly. She's like, that's how it works. Men are just allowed to exploit you. Duh.
For other men, forever or just that instance?
He said
I'm not buying it. Okay, we got 50 seconds. I'm going E. Jean Carroll. E. Jean Carroll, number one, the statute of limitations had run out. Number two, for a very long time, she never reported it to anyone until Reid Hoffman paid her to freaking go after this lawsuit.
That's also not true. She reported to multiple people in her life, including her therapist, and they testified to that.
Why she is now being charged with perjury.
She's not being charged with perjury.
Not only that, as a celebrity walking into Bergdorf Goldman's, you don't think that anybody would have a picture of him? And no offense.
No, it was in like the 80s. Do people forget that we didn't used to have cameras on us at all times? Like, nope, you never went out with a camera. Who would have a picture of that? And it was in a dressing room. Who was going to be in there? You don't think Donald Trump and E. Jean Carroll would have noticed somebody standing there with a giant-ass camera? Yeah, no, there wouldn't be a picture of that.
I don't trust a woman that named her cat vagina and freaking said was sexy and charged 21 other men with that crime.
Lori, you're going to get another fact check.
Well, you go ahead and fact check. Well, I think it's disgusting because
it was 93. Thank you. 1993, not the 80s. Thank you. The argument still stands.
Was a victim of actual rape and abuse. And if you want to compare what happened in the Epstein files, let me just tell you, I was one of those little girls. Okay?
I'm sorry to hear that, Lori.
I was one of those little girls, but the guy was shooting her. So for you to sit there and say it's disgusting, I'm sorry, I don't agree with the woman as a woman who was abused. I don't agree with the attacks falsely on Donald Trump because of the crap that your side always has to push because you got such bad TDS, it's insane. That woman is a nut job. I knew somebody that worked with her at Simon Schuster, said that she was so inappropriate. She also accused 21 other men of the same freaking crime.
Name 5 of them.
I don't know their names.
Because they don't exist.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, that's what we're up against. I just want to know, like, how Donald Trump winds up being the person that all these people support and give this undying loyalty to. How did he pull this off? What has he given to you? Just anger towards the left? Which shows that people believe misinformation more than factual information. It's very unfortunate. I think it shows more that, like, people just believe what they want to believe, which is tough, man. It's tough. There's people in my life who ignore predators consistently, and that's tough. Especially when it's women who potentially are going to be the victims of that predatory behavior. Somebody said that Lori, that lady, said that was it Harvey Weinstein essayed her? Is that what they said? But you can't believe anybody who accuses Trump. They hate their lives. I don't even know. Like, honestly, I don't know what it is. I think reality is difficult for a lot of people. I think it's hard for people to swallow reality sometimes, and they'd much rather write a news story in their head than admit that they were duped. I think that's probably what it is. Did I just find a mirror? What do you mean by that? What do you mean, did I just find a mirror? What does that mean? Do you think that I'm like covering? Do you think there's like somebody on the left that I'm covering for? Is there some story that we're afraid to tell, or that I'm afraid to tell, about people on the left that are abusers? Is there somebody that right now, like, we're protecting? I can't think of any. All right. Moving on here. I'm going to skip that Google. What time is it? It's 10:30. Okay. We've been going for about an hour. All right. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. We do rely on your donations for us to keep this show going each and every day. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and Super Chats. And then over on TikTok, if you want to before we get into the COVID stuff, if you want to help protect us, that would be greatly appreciated. If we started a $1 train or a $2 train right now, we could knock that out by the end of the show. But again, we don't get much ad revenue. We don't have sponsors here. We rely entirely on your generosity in order to fund this and keep this show going. So if you like what you're seeing today, it would be great if you could support us if you can. All right. The 2 stories I wanted to cover fairly quickly before we get into that. The first is Google search. And these have been sent to me. I feel like these potentially both of these stories might have been a little bit overblown. The first is Google search as you know it is over. The era of the 10 blue links is officially over. At its Google I/O conference on Tuesday, Google unveiled an AI-powered overhaul of search centered around a reimagined intelligent search box, what the company describes as the biggest change to this entry point to the web since the search box debuted more than 25 years ago. I think that as we read this, there's kind of like 2 ways that you can interpret what's happening. I think the conspiratorial way, and the way that most of us look at billionaires, we'd say this may be a way for them to control the information. Maybe. I don't want to rule that out, but I think it's something probably not quite as dangerous, but still the same amount of control. Instead of returning a simple list of links, Google Search will drop users into AI-powered interactive experiences at times. Google is also introducing tools that can dispatch information agents to gather information on a user's behalf, along with tools that let users build personalized mini apps tailored to their needs. The resulting experience will no longer look much like how people envision Google Search, which has long been defined by ranked links to websites that have the information you need. With the revamped search experience, the new search box simply expands to accommodate longer, more conversational queries, rather than making you decide what type of search experience or mode you want to choose at the start of your query. We've all seen this, especially if you watch like debates online. You'll see people use AI. They'll get the response they wanted, and then they'll move on. They won't click on the links. I do look staticky. Thank you. Something's going up with my green screen. Let me fix this real fast. I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry, guys. That all of a sudden got staticky. Why is it doing that? Let's go this way. So I got a green screen behind me, and it looks like it probably just got a little brighter in my room. So it's picking up the similarities there. All right, that should be better. Google's AI overviews will also allow users to ask follow-up questions in AI mode beginning Tuesday, the company noted. While Google says the AI mode is not the default experience, Search's user interface encourages users to ask follow-up questions instead of scrolling down to the links to other pages. The links, to clarify, have not entirely disappeared. They're just no longer the priority for many types of searches. Now, I like this. For the record, I think I think this technology is good to allow you to get quick answers to questions. There are sources in your AI answer. But the bigger story is now Google, who pays these websites every time you click on their link, doesn't have to do that. Or they drive traffic off of Google to that website. Now that traffic stays with Google. So Google is then allowed to take the information that's been generated by users and put that into an AI result, and they don't have to pay anybody for that. That's what's gross about what's happening, and that's the freedom that and I guess like the theft that a lot of people have been complaining about with AI. This is the real problem with AI. Somebody who creates content, I don't do like deep research. So at this point, AI is not necessarily a threat to me. In fact, I would say that it's possible that AI could be a benefit to somebody like me when you want a human to talk to you about this instead of just an AI search. It would be difficult for AI to recreate what we do, what live shows do, because it doesn't have personality. But all of these links where people are now getting their answers are not going to be compensated. They're not going to have traffic directed to them. They're not going to get the benefits of people clicking on their link, which moves them up in the search results. This is just theft. It's just straight theft. On top of that, yes, it does allow these companies, if they want, to take search results and choose the results that they like and have AI maybe pick sources that they like better than other sources that they like, and it can get very confusing. So what I see here, and what I think that the revolt against AI is starting to become and will become, is a realization that this is just theft of everything we've ever done. Any amount of academia, any amount of innovation, any amount of research is just being stolen from us by these people who, I don't know why they think they get that information. I don't know why they think that they get to make money off of the information that everybody else has created. And it's not like they're going in and doing the research and compiling it. They're just using scrapers, basically, to put this together. And what about its staggering inaccuracy? Well, yeah, that's the other part, Robot Jane. The other part is it's not great yet. Isn't the issue then people not verifying the info it gives them? Yeah, yes and no. Like I use Perplexity a lot. And generally speaking, I don't always trust the answer that Perplexity is giving me, because I think Perplexity is most likely to give me the answer that is most popular or the one that is most prevalent. So I do want to look at the links that they give me and make sure that it says what it says. How many times have we done it here where I don't remember what it even was. I think on Wednesday we asked AI a question and it gave us the answer of yes. But then when you read the explanation, the answer actually should have been no. It's just that there's so many people that are saying yes and then using that explanation. The AI is like, oh, that explanation actually makes sense. What you teaching your kids? I'm teaching my kids nothing yet. She's 6. I haven't talked to her about AI yet. But when we do get there, we'll see where we're at. Starting this summer, people will be able to create, customize, and manage multiple new information agents within Google Search. These agents can work in the background 24/7 to track changes on the web and alert you to new information. For instance, you could have an agent track market movements based on customer parameters Google suggests. Anyways, you can go read the rest of that. I'll leave it there. But I do think that that's the conversation that needs to be had. And if I was running for Congress, this is the argument that I would make. I do believe that if these AI companies are going to exist, they should exist in the same way they do in China, where the information that they generate is shared with at least the government. If we're not going to pay individuals for this, it should at least go into a fund that maybe pays for education, pays for roads, pays for healthcare. I think that I've heard 50-50, like maybe these AI companies keep 50% of the revenue, the other 50% goes to the government. I think it should be much higher than that. I think it's like an 80-20 thing. It's not actually that expensive to build these AI platforms. We've seen that with DeepSeek in China. it's like 1/1000th of the cost of like OpenAI or Anthropic. But yeah, we're just letting them steal everything. These fucking tech oligarchs are just like, hey, we're going to take all the information and we're going to take credit for it, and now we get to make all the money off of all the information. Roly Poly Bolo says the research is being stolen and the research is being twisted to fit confirmation bias. AI does not verify the answers it gives you. True. Electric Dad, so what kind of men do makeup and hair? I'm sure they're not looking for women. Sorry, I was late on that. Michelle, thank you for paying your Antifa dues. And Jay Harrow, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. I appreciate that, guys. Look over here, make sure I got those. Pink, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Danielle says Trump lost 2 civil cases with E. Jean Carroll and 5 appeals in regards to those cases. Yes, and it has not been thrown out. Schumer admits the Democrats have embedded 25 million illegitimate voters in the U.S. voter rolls. For sure he did. Google sucks. Did you get that off of Google? All right. Can somebody just mute Google sucks? Don't spam dumb shit, please. All right. This story, a lot of you asked about on Thursday. I haven't been online to know who's covered this and who hasn't. There was a leak that exposed members of Peter Thiel's secret society called Dialogue. I don't know how big of a story this is, if we're being honest. The person who sent this to me said that Dre Dossier has said we shouldn't worry about it. I haven't seen her response yet. I will at some point. I wanted to make sure that I read it before I saw somebody else's opinion. So if there's context I'm missing here, I've only read the article. I haven't done a deep dive on this. So if there's stuff I'm missing here, please in the chat help me out and let me know what I'm missing. But I might fall on that side of this may not be as big a deal as people made it out to be. Peter said, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo, said to keep the lights on. I appreciate that very much. All right, the group is called Dialogue. It's a private invitation-only organization co-founded in 2006 by Peter Thiel. It convenes U.S. officials, foreign government figures, and Silicon Valley executives at off-the-record annual retreats. Dialogue has spent 2 decades declining to disclose its members. A directory in the website's code was first revealed by the Swiss hacktivist Maya Arsen Krimu, known for exposing the U.S. government's no-fly list and breaching the surveillance camera company Verkada. Crime W, maybe, tells Wired the directory surfaced via an anonymous tip. Wired independently then verified the content. So here's what we had. A source separately provided Wired with the registration list for Dialogue's 2026 retreat. There were 222 people named, and the records... and records, what the list describes as each registrant's membership status and attendee type, including active member and guest. The retreat is scheduled for August 12th through the 16th at a venue in Dublin, Ireland. The same data lays out a program of off-the-record sessions. Now, this is the part where you can get conspiratorial or not. And I don't know where I necessarily land on this, but these are some of the sessions they have. Money does ? Buy happiness. Bring back nuclear, navigating World War III. It's just like a session on how are we going to navigate World War III? What if we didn't have it? That'd be a good idea. Battlefield technologies and how's your sex life? Other talks include Build a Cult, moderated by the founder of the Christian networking site Pray.com, and Build a Party, run by a former White House national security official. Together, alongside the mundane fare of a typical thought leadership conference, the documents show an extraordinary convergence of power. The registration records list General Alexis Grinkovich, NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, and the head of U.S. European Command, who took the post in July 2025 and is recorded on the leaked list as having attended Dialogue gatherings since 2021. The website directory names sitting Trump administration officials, 2 U.S. senators, 6 members of the PayPal Mafia, a former Middle East chief of intelligence, and a sitting ambassador to the United States, along with the founders and directors of many of the country's largest surveillance, data broker, and advertising data companies. Now, the reason I don't know or I don't necessarily think that this is a huge leak and that this hack is terribly newsworthy is because I feel like we knew all this shit. I feel like we know all these people. We already know that Peter Thiel and the PayPal Mafia and these tech oligarchs have co-opted the government, and not just our government. If you've at least, even if you just followed this show, we did a 4-part series on the PayPal Mafia probably a year and a half ago, and we've talked about that ever since. I don't think anybody who watches this daily is surprised by this. What might be new, and Travis the Cult is running it, is that maybe we're getting more of a view of the people outside of the PayPal mafia who are also included here. And we don't have the names of everybody yet, but this is weird. Like, what do we have senators and NATO's Supreme Allied Commander? Why are they sitting in these I guess, retreat breakout sessions for money does buy happiness, bring back nuclear, navigating World War III, battlefield technologies, and how's your sex life? I don't know. That makes me nervous, not surprised, but it does go to show like how having enough money and having enough prominence allows you to go and sit with other people who have money and prominence, and they talk about like, how are we going to keep shaping the way forward? That makes me nervous. And the solution to this, at least in the United States, of undoing this influence is simply get all of this money out of politics, which is so easy. Just undo Citizens United, get rid of lobbying. Very, very simple, and we refuse to do it. Those executives appear side by side with senior U.S. officials overseeing their industries. Oren Hoffman, Dialogue's chairman, founded the location data broker SafeGraph and the identity resolution firm LiveRamp, two of the most important suppliers in the consumer data economy. He appears in the directory alongside Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, George Soros' protege, whose department writes the rules on financial data, and Senator Ted Cruz, chairman of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, which oversees the FTC and its Data Privacy Authority. Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale, surprise, surprise, whose software runs case management for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and data fusion for the Pentagon and intelligence community, is listed in the same society as Army Secretary Dan Driscoll and Representative Jim Himes, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, which oversees agencies Palantir contracts with. Like, just on its face, if Jim Himes, whose job is to oversee the House Intelligence Committee, which deals with their contracts with Palantir, it should at least be concerning that he is out there meeting with these people privately. That should be illegal. Should not be allowed. Right? So I do think that this is like, it's not the biggest leak ever, and I do think we should care. What it's not is new. The names are new to some. How's my job have to interfere with RTB? Yeah, talk to him about that. The registration records appear to show not only who belongs to Dialogue, but who attends. Of the 222 people signed up for the 2026 retreat, according to the leaked records, 87 are marked as first-time attendees. Other list histories stretching back more than a decade, and a handful to the society's founding 20 years ago. What ties this roster together more than any title or office is a shared preoccupation with artificial intelligence, longevity, and the near future. Asked on a sign-up form to predict the future, registrants returned again and again to the same theme, that AI will reorder work, war, education, and belief within a few years. Several foresee mass labor displacement and a swing back toward unions and government programs. Others predict an AI winter, domestic terrorism targeting data centers, criminal defendants choosing AI lawyers over public defenders, or religious revival provoked by the disruption. I think we know who these people are. Several foresee, this part. Others predict an AI winter, domestic terrorism targeting data centers, criminal. These are the people who think AI is so important, and that any opposition to AI is domestic terrorism, and that they should be allowed to do that. The other people, I think you can just figure out where these people are politically. I tend to side on the results that say AI will reorder work, war, education, and belief within a few years, mass labor displacement, and a swing back toward unions and government programs. I also think that this is history being replayed. If you go look back at, and we talked about this, I think, on Wednesday, if you go back and you look at the Great Depression, and you look at the changes that we made after the Great Depression, the American people saw what had happened when wealth inequality gets out of control, when private business, or I guess private equity and the private markets get involved in running the government. They see how quickly the everyday people are left behind. And what was the response to the Great Depression? Not what conservatives talk about. It wasn't talking about, we need to deregulate. We need to have more competition. It was the government needs more regulation. The government needs to go and regulate these businesses much harder, and we need to provide carve-outs that protect the American people. So labor unions grew. The demands for things like Social Security and what later became Medicare grew. The demands for education that was affordable grew. The demands for affordable housing grew. The demands for collective bargaining and people being able to have, just everyday jobs that paid the bills grew. And we saw that. And there was about 50 years of response where the American people chose to go in a more progressive direction. And do you have any idea what the Democrats at the time, who were the conservatives, does anybody know what they said about these people? About the people that were pushing labor unions? About the people who were pushing for like higher taxes? They said they were communists. They said that they were socialists. They said they were part of secret societies, specifically the Masons. They said that the Catholic Church used to be like the big fear of Americans. In fact, it was a big deal when Kennedy became president, because there was this fear in America, much like we now have Islamophobia, that if the Catholics, because they have that governing central body in Rome, in the Vatican, that if a Catholic were to be made president, or if too many Catholics got in our government, that the Catholic Church would then control the government. And so it's history repeating itself. This is exactly what happens every time wealth inequality gets to all-time highs. The wealthy then, because they have, and in this case, the wealthy ran all the newspapers. They ran basically all media, and they were pushing out these scares of communism and socialism, and they were saying, "Oh, it's not really about the rich people. It's not about these oligarchs. They didn't cause any of these problems. This is just, we have this problem in our country where, the markets crashed, and now these are evil people trying to come in on the backs of a economic collapse and get power." They didn't want to lose their power. On Wednesday, same thing on Wednesday, we talked about this, but inflation in this country is up around 4%. It's going to probably be around 4% for a while. And there's been some confusion as to why does nobody seem to care about inflation? Illusion says, do you suggest we may first experience a depression like economic crisis? Because I would if we double progress after. I mean, that's coming no matter what. That's on its way. We're going to get an economic depression. That's coming. But if you look at inflation, and this administration literally just lying about it all the time, inflation's no big deal, or we're lowering inflation, or Trump for the first year of his presidency is inflation is zero. Why do they do that? Because they know where inflation's going. If you inflate the value of our money, then the debt that we have on the books essentially it becomes less, right? So if you have $36 trillion, but then you have, and that's based on the value of the dollar then, and you have $36 trillion now with inflation, essentially it's less. So there's a lot of talk right now that Scott Bessent, who is basically running our economic model, is saying we need to get inflation at 4%, because then we can pay down the debt essentially at a lower rate. What we can't do is we can't tax people more, because we don't believe in taxing people more. So what we have to do is create this alternate reality for the people in America. And it didn't work after the Great Depression. The difference between the Great Depression and now is the vehicles we have to convince people that there are these secret societies, that they're running everything, and that's the real threat. I don't know if Dre Dossier, if that was her conclusion here. Again, I haven't read it. But when I read this, and I'm reading a book, what's it called? I highly recommend this book. I'm about halfway through it. It's called American Psychosis. It's written by David Korn. And when I read that, and when you read back through history, you'll see that this is just none of this is new. And that's when I start thinking this does feel like the Truman Show. They're not new arguments. Who was it before that was claiming it was secret societies and communists and foreign entities coming in to destroy our country? It was the rich people. It was the conservatives. They were Democrats at the time, but it was the conservatives. And who is it now? And it's the exact same argument. It's exactly the same. So I think maybe perhaps that's what she was saying. We're modern slaves. I don't think that. I think that, honestly, I do think that people are severely overestimating the impact of what these billionaires are able to do. Because eventually, it affects people's daily lives, and they don't really give a fuck about the billionaires anymore. They don't care what the billionaires are saying. When you can't pay for stuff, and it's been 6 months of you not paying for stuff, and they keep telling you like, oh, it's just because of the communists. Eventually, you're like, maybe it's not the communists. When somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, we're gonna get together as workers, and we're gonna collectively bargain, and we're gonna raise our wages. We're gonna have healthcare. We're gonna raise our wages, and we're gonna have more say in our company, so that these people running our companies don't make millions while we make pennies on the dollar. Eventually, they lose, and I think that that's where we're at. I think that we're at that tipping point. Well, I don't know what Dre said, roly poly bully. Again, I don't know what she said, but what's the problem with what I'm saying here? Is there a better argument for why this is a bigger deal? I think we knew all this stuff. I'll keep reading, but I'll look for your answer. I know that you're the one that sent me it, and you said that you didn't like what Dre said. I don't know. None of this was like surprising to me when I read it. I disagree. We've learned how many people will suffer just so they can avoid admitting they were wrong. To an extent, I don't think we've got there yet. Let's just be honest about where we're at. A lot of Americans financially are suffering, but we don't have food lines yet. After the Great Depression, we had unemployment skyrocket by like 20%. Nobody could afford anything. We had a massive devaluation of our currency. We haven't got there yet. My contention is that we are close to a point where it's going to affect millions of people. I don't think we're there yet, and I think that that's why there's enough people right now to keep this going. But at some point, people lose their enthusiasm, and when they can't afford anything and they can't feed their families, then things change. Or I mean, it could be as simple as like everybody losing their retirement accounts and seeing no clear path forward for their retirement accounts. It could be that simple. It could be another pandemic. What'd you say, Roly Poly? I think you're minimizing the fact that our officials in our military are spending $16K to meet with the people with zero oversight who want control of the citizens. I'm not minimizing it. I'm saying we knew that. We didn't know exactly how much it was. We now know the names, and this is helpful going forward. I think this is a helpful reporting. I don't think that it's nothing. It's good to know the names. I'm glad that it was leaked, but all it's really doing is giving us a target for things that we already know. Reminding me to say no next time you invite me over for dinner. Okay. I'm going back through the comments to see where we're at on this. How many or what percentage of people in the USA that can afford any major health issues today? Almost none. I mean, like 60%. There's no way. So how do we solve that? And this is the conversation that I think matters in the midterms and the next presidential election is like, what's the solution for all of this stuff? The solution for healthcare is simple. It's single payer, Medicare for all. It's going to be half the cost and everybody gets healthcare. And the number one reason for bankruptcy in this country, which is medical bills, goes away overnight. Just done. What are the Republicans going to say on a stage if they actually have that debate? No, it's not that. We shouldn't cut the price of healthcare in half and give it to everybody. What we should instead do is get rid of the lines around the states. The same shit, like, again, I worked for Mitt Romney. I was around for John McCain. It's the same argument they've made since the 2000s, probably before that, but that's as early as I can remember it. None of that shit ever worked. Every other country in the world does it differently. Nobody's copying our model for a reason, because it doesn't work. That's the main thing. Like, we're at the point now, especially with healthcare, that tons of people are just dropping their healthcare. Donald Trump got rid of and I guess the Republicans got rid of the penalty for not having healthcare. And what happened? A bunch of people just dropped it. Not because they don't use it, because they can't afford it. And that, like, it's unsustainable. We can't, going forward, all they can really do is keep extending this. Now, I believe that these people think they're so smart that they somehow can undo this. But it gives you some clues as to what they actually think when you go back and you look at what they're talking about. Does money buy happiness? Well, it probably does when you're the only one that can buy anything. Bring back nuclear, navigating World War III. They're all planning. Battlefield technologies. Build a cult. They can act like they have a plan for this, but all of their planning is like doomsday scenarios. I dropped because coverage was bad. Yeah. Well, Roly Poly, you can agree. I just don't understand what Roly Poly. Let's keep walking through this. Like, I just don't understand where you and I have a disconnect here. What's the next logical step? We say, okay, we know these people. They're meeting with Peter Thiel. We know that there's people with oversight. They're meeting with Peter Thiel. So what's the next what's the logical conclusion there? The logical conclusion is rich, powerful people have infiltrated our government, and they're basically making the decisions, and they're influencing these people. Would you agree? Is that the right conclusion, Roly Poly? Money doesn't buy happiness. This is a good down payment. Got some pro money people here. I mean, just saying money doesn't buy happiness is dumb, right? It could potentially make your life a lot easier. Pretty happy at $2K a week. Cool. Is that what you're paying for healthcare? Or just what you're making? That's great. You know, I don't know where you live. If you're saying that's what you make, $2K a week. I don't know where you live, but there's places in this country $2K a week's not going to get it done. Go try and live in San Francisco at $2K a week. Or try and live in New York City at $2K a week. San Diego. Certain parts of Los Angeles. Good luck. All right. Got that part. Let's see. Dialogue also plays matchmaker, which is kind of bizarre. Its participant form asks registrants whether they are looking for love and offers to include single man, single woman, or other respondents in future matchmaking. A separate site, dating.dialogue.org, hosts an app pitched as meaningful connections for exceptional people. Gross. Gross. They don't know how to date, though. They're so fucking weird that they now have to, like, think of Ashley St. Clair and what she has come out and said, and how all these people, like, get these young women and they line them up with rich people. They're not real people. By the way, guys, like, Roly Poly and I have been talking in DMs. I don't know if some people are going after Roly Poly. It's fine to have a different opinion. I'm trying to get on the same page here. See if we can find like a middle ground. The leaked registration list also names senior figures absent from the public directory of 113. Randy Krosner, a former governor of the Federal Reserve, who now serves on the Bank of England's Financial Policy Committee. Haley Hoffman, a former general counsel and acting chief of staff for the DEA. Jonathan Greenblatt, the chief executive of the ADL, no surprises there. Peter Gotler, the president of the Cato Institute. Ryan Stowers, the executive director of the Charles Koch Foundation. And Roger Myerson, a Nobel laureate economist at the University of Chicago. Dialogue's operated with little public footprint since its founding. It holds at least one retreat a year with assigned seating, moderated sessions, and a rule that nothing said is for attribution. Past gatherings have been held at Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain in Arizona, the San Clemente Palace in Venice, Italy, and they say it's like a tech version of the Bilderbergs. So if you're new to tech oligarchs, if you're new to rich people owning our government, then this is probably alarming. If you're not new to that, I don't think that there's anything here that's terribly different than what we've seen before. IMFRCD said, per CNBC, Florida plans to end all state vaccine mandates. Brilliant, including for children to attend schools. State Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, a prominent immunization critic, announced Wednesday. Melanie said Republican Teddy Roosevelt supported the start of the unions by going after J.P. Morgan, Vanderbilt, and the meatpacking industry. The party ran him out, and then he started the Progressive Party. That is true. Again, the Republicans at the time were more progressive, not entirely progressive. Illusion said, I tend to agree for 17 months. Do you suggest we may... Okay, I answered that question already. Okay, let me check over here. Dolphin said, my health insurance went up $125. Mom's went up 85. My neighbor, who both her and her husband had to cancel their insurance, both of their insurance plans went up 215. Fuck DJT. Yeah. I mean, that's why they put that provision in there. So that the people that couldn't afford it could drop it. Otherwise, it would be catastrophic. And you just got to hope, like statistically, well, if you might have 1 million people drop, but hopefully not very many of them have a problem. Yeah, you can get my opinion. You can ask any questions you want, Animal Drive. What's your question? My parents bought a house in 1973 for $23,000. It's worth over $250,000 now. I think they put a new roof on it once. I obviously wasn't getting paid enough as a roofer. Yeah, we'll get. I think we'll probably get to housing. Actually, it's the next thing we're going to talk about housing a little bit. What was your question, Animal Drive 69? I'm nervous with your username. What your question is, but you can also send your question using a super chat. That'd be great. All right, let's let me update the gift goal here. Sorry, guys, I'm a little scatterbrained today. They don't give a shit if we help. Well, they don't. Yeah, they just don't give a shit about us at all. I think that's maybe like the hardest part to deal with MAGA is just that nobody gives a shit. And you guys don't seem to know that they don't give a shit about you, or like I don't know what doesn't bother you. And it's not about like their feelings; they're just not doing anything for you. It'd be one thing if they were doing stuff for you and didn't give a shit. Like you can deal with that, but they're doing nothing for you and don't give a shit. Animal said we should disconnect MAGA from Trump. MAGA is an acronym that meant Make America Great Again. As Americans, we should all want to make America great, and using MAGA as an insult is anti-patriotic. Yeah, I think that's stupid. I think it's very stupid. Just because of that's what it means to you, right? But to most of us, Make America Great Again, MAGA was never about making America great again. And this is a way that they cause division. This is similar to me of like I have friends that are like, how come liberals never fly American flags? First of all, they do. But second of all, it's because it became like this symbol. Like put all these flags. You see a truck let's say you go down like camping, you see a truck and it's got 4 American flags. Who'd that person vote for? You know. Saying that you want to disconnect MAGA from Trump just doesn't happen. Like MAGA is Trump. Trump says MAGA is me. If MAGA was about making America great again, then why isn't it making America great again? It's also not theirs. Like they didn't even come up with that. It's also a stolen slogan. America First was the party platform of the American Nazis. Make America Great Again was Ronald Reagan. And what it really was is make America great again, and it didn't make America great again. What instead it did is give tax cuts to rich people and flip the way that our economy functions so that most of the money flowed to the rich people. I like the idea of make America great again, but let me ask you this: if we disconnect that, I would say if we want to make America great again, we need to go back to when I think America, at least for the middle class, was great. We had a top marginal tax rate of between 70 and 90%. Are any people who identify as MAGA going to get on board with making with a 70 to 90% top marginal tax rate? No. Education was virtually free. Like state education was either almost free or totally free if you lived in that state. You go to private school, that was pretty expensive. I think it was better then. When was it great? I mean, look, we can't say that America wasn't great, but you can say that it wasn't great for everybody. I also don't like the again part. I think make America better is what the slogan should be every time. This like MAGA's decision to take it backwards, like that's been a dog whistle. We all know what Make America Great is because we've seen what Republicans did with Make America Great Again. What did they point to? Immigration. They pointed to Christianity. They pointed to traditional marriage. They pointed to undoing parts of the Civil Rights Act. They pointed at pre-civil rights for LGBTQ people. Make America Great Again was, hey, can you just go back to when we were allowed to be more racist and bigoted? They didn't ever really take us back, and their policy hasn't taken us somewhere that's better. Like, where are we better now as America? Like, what has MAGA given us that's making things better? For me, before 1492, sassy. I hear you. Don't just drop slogans in there. No taxes. No taxes makes no sense. How would we pay for things without taxes? Land back to the indigenous as a start. Like, yeah, something is a start. I'm looking here to see if there's anybody that has an answer to that. Like, what exactly they're doing to make America great again. So hopefully that answers your questions. No, I don't. I think MAGA just needs to go away. I think it's silly. Not a big fan. Of the again part is the part that I have a problem with. It's the again. Make America great's fine. Make America great again. That's leaving out a lot of people, especially if you're going to undo legislation that gives people rights and recognition. I don't think going back to that makes America great. Okay, this is Representative Herodopoulos, and this actually segues in because we were talking about housing here. His hair is insane. But one of the things the Republicans are also going to have a problem with, and one of the other reasons that I believe that our country is poised for a progressive takeover, and I mean progressive takeover, not Democrat takeover. I mean a progressive takeover. I think that ideas, maybe not as much in the midterms, depends on how things go, but in the next presidential election, like ideas are going to be very, very important. I don't think you're going to be able to divide people with like the social infighting. I think that you're going to have real solutions for what we're about to go through. Jeff, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. I appreciate you very much. Here is Mike Herodopoulos from Florida explaining what's wrong with the housing market and somehow getting literally every single thing wrong.
Now, on this housing bill, this is the 21st Century Road to Housing bill, and the final legislation coming after all of those months of negotiations between the Senate and the House. It would roll back some permitting regulations while limiting corporations from buying single-family homes. It was another priority for President Trump. Congressman, is this a priority because you believe that this is going to affect inflation and the cost of living?
I do. I mean, number one reason why we have these higher housing costs, in my opinion, is that you had 10 million people coming here illegally.
I appreciate that he said, in my opinion, because your opinion is not based on facts.
For 4 years. You had two.
I also want to point out that 10 million is the new number. When did it stop being 20 million? Is there ever Mike Herodopoulos, is there ever a time that Republicans are going to give us a real number? How come we don't have a real number? Why is it 10 million now? But this is nonsense what he says, why the price of housing went up.
These higher housing costs, in my opinion, is that you had 10 million people coming here illegally over 4 years. You had too many people demanding housing. And by changing these rules and laws.
I don't know who needs to hear this. Hopefully some of you Republicans. People who are coming here who are undocumented can't buy houses. How are they both too poor and sucking up all of our resources and also able to buy houses? You guys want to explain that? It might have driven up rents in some places, but not rents in like middle-class communities or upper middle-class communities or rich communities. Mostly poor communities. There could have been some rent increases because of low availability. The reason that they say this is because they can't tell you the truth. But like he does look like Gilderoy Lockhart. That's the real reason. They can't tell you the truth. The truth is that they manipulated the markets, and that's what happened.
We're going to be able to reduce some of that friction so that we can have a lot more supply on hand. And as more people move out, because
why wouldn't we have so much more supply on hand now then? All these people.
Or tougher immigration policies, we think this will help bring down costs. And of course, we're also seeing a nice tick down in gas prices as well, which should also make sure we can combat inflation.
All right, so if you look at the housing market and you talk to any economist, there's basically, it's never one thing. But one, we had a low housing supply, and that was due to chronic underbuilding. The resale inventory has been pretty tight for a decade now, and we had low mortgage rates. For like my mortgage rate was, I think, 3.4 or 3.5%. There's no way I'm going to buy a new house, even if I want to upgrade. Now I'm at, what is it, 6%, 6.2%? Even if I buy a house for the same price that I sell my house for, my payment is going to go up. And I'm not going to get a better house. I'm going to get essentially the same. So if I get a better house, if I upgrade my house, I'm also going to pay higher mortgage rates. So people are like, no, I'm going to hold on to my house until mortgage rates come back down. And then obviously population matters. There's a bunch of millennials, people that are my age that moved into the home buying years. That's 30 to 40, and so that increased demand. There's a lot of millennials in this country. After 2008, we had really, really low interest rates for a while, trying to incentivize people to go buy houses. And during the pandemic, we kept those rates too low, and so that boosted buying power. And you all saw it during the pandemic. If you own a house, you know what happened to your house value during the pandemic. You know what it looked like trying to buy pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. And what happened is a lot of people couldn't afford the houses, so these corporations came in and they bought them, or investors, not even necessarily corporations, but like investment funds. I had a friend of mine that they tried to get me involved in this fund. There was like 100 people, and they put in money, and they were just going and buying up houses, and then they were renting them out. They're belly up now. They can't make money. They're selling, they're renting out these homes for less than the mortgage. Like, they're bleeding money right now. Then of course you have like the introduction of remote work, lifestyle changes. There was stimulus money. People wanted more space. People moved out of cities because they could work remotely, and so that drove up the price. You look at what happened in Montana. You look at what happened in Colorado, northern parts of Arizona, where it used to be super cheap compared to Phoenix, and now it's like the same. Like Payson is an example. I live in Mesa. Payson's like an hour and a half away from me, but it's up in the mountains. It's cooler, and houses up there used to be pretty cheap. Now they're more expensive in Payson than they are here. That's a supply and demand thing, right? But it was enabled by people moving out and remote work, or people moving out of big cities, retiring. You have a bunch of boomers that are retiring. And then, of course, the one thing he got right there was higher construction costs, because he brought up gas. That's part of it. But like labor, land, materials, financing costs, all of those together make buying houses more expensive. The tariffs didn't help. Those sure don't help. Doesn't help that we have a trade war with Canada. That didn't help at all. Doesn't help that when we're talking about steel, and the tariffs that we put on steel. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of this is self-inflicted. And this idea that now that the Republicans' plan is just that things are going to get cheaper because we deported people, that's not going to work. I don't know if that comes into play here in the midterms. We'll see. But in the next presidential election, that's going to matter a lot. There's a lot of people who are just want to buy a house. They're not going to be able to. And we can look at the Fed, like they're keeping rates steady. We're nowhere near bringing rates down. First of all, it should be MAWA, Make America White Again. Second, this president is stealing it every chance he can. I don't understand how we're not talking about that. I mean, we do. We talk about it. It's just one of those things. Like you can say it to Republicans all day long. They just don't give a fuck. They're just fine with that. So I don't know. We cover it every time we can. Look at his hairstyle. He does. The other thing is has anybody noticed that MAGA has begun to just look like they're straight out of the Hunger Games? Why does everybody look insane in MAGA now? That fucking guy that got the pool or the reflecting pool contract looks like it. Like just a straight up villain. Like none of these people look like real people. They all look like they've been made up to be villains. Owning a house is overrated. Yard work sucks. True. Unless you're in Arizona, you get zero escape. Keep hating losers. Brother, you're the only one losing. I don't know. What are you celebrating Donald Trump for? What are you celebrating this for? All right, moving on. Let me make sure I got all those. Just a reminder, guys, and I know this gets redundant and it's annoying. We are crowdfunded, so we have a gift goal every single day. We have to hit that in order for the show to keep going. I know for a lot of people, money's tight. That's fine. We love having you here. But if you can contribute to our daily goal, that would be greatly appreciated. $1 or $2 every once in a while goes a long way. So you can do that via Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Those links are above my head. Or you can use Super Chats. And over on TikTok, we're about to talk about Tulsi Gabbard now. So this is the part where I'm a little concerned that we lose our TikTok. If you want to help us out by gifting and see if we can keep ourselves alive talking about COVID, that would be awesome. And then a reminder, Wednesday, we have a members-only event. If you're a paid subscriber, either on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch, you can join us for that in our Discord. We'll also be streaming the U.S. men's national team soccer game on Thursday. And again, you need to be a member to do that. This story I thought was going to be bigger. It's not that big, but Tulsi Gabbard, on her last day in office, decided she was going to bring down Dr. Fauci. Like everything Tulsi Gabbard has released as her time as Director of National Intelligence, it was a big fucking nothing burger. She did this when it came to the origins of the Russia investigation. They found absolutely nothing. And just like everything she's announced, the folks that on her side, the MAGA folks on her side, have decided to take what she says at face value and not look into it. This is as dumb as her claim that the origins of the Russia investigation were all manufactured by Obama to bring down Trump and to help Hillary Clinton. They literally, I read through all of those documents, and I've read through most of what she released here. A lot of it is redacted, so those binders look intimidating, but like 80% of that shit is redacted. They have released absolutely nothing here. And I can only imagine it was their attempt to try and change the discussion from Iran, and I don't think it worked that well, except for me. And I'm only really covering this because I can't stand Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm tired of this, this administration openly lying for Donald Trump and nobody giving a shit over on MAGA. Like, you guys are lied to all the time. If you think that what Tulsi Gabbard did was expose Fauci and expose the origins of COVID, then I think we can just safely assume you didn't read any of this, because nothing she offers does either of those two things.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives.
Now, this all sounds pretty damning until you read it. And then you're going to find out that everything she just said to you is a lie.
These documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when, under oath, he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also
That didn't happen. He talked about specific discussions, and she's obviously not being specific here. I found nothing from his testimony, and I'd spent about an hour looking, so there could be something I missed, but I found nothing in his testimony that what she releases refutes. Sully said, "What's hard as a rock, 6 inches and full of semen?" The sock under my bed. William said, "Funding MAGA dad's prostate checks." Thank you.
Received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins.
Thank you, Shane, for the Antifa dues.
Once again, revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community
That's a good point. Let's do remember this all happened during the Trump administration.
Enabled him to assume 3 key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to Big Pharma and their pursuit of...
Why isn't he in jail? Because nobody can tell us what crime he committed. Freddie, can you tell me what crime he committed?
Universal vaccines. worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research. That
now, this is just a fucking lie. I don't know what to tell you about this. This is what she released. You can see here, you can go to ODNI and you can go through. If we scroll through, look how much of this is redacted. Like, this is now the actual research they did, but the communications are redacted in a lot of places. But even if you just go back up here and you read the research here, and I recommend you guys going and reading this for yourself. But this is what she's citing for. This is what they're citing, saying that Fauci lied and that he covered up the lab leak. You tell me if this is a cover-up. We assess all of the necessary conditions for an accidental release of a laboratory-modified coronavirus, specifically a coronavirus adapted to recognize human cell receptors, were present at the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology in the mid to late 2019. As a result, we place equal, again, right here, all MAGA, Donald Trump, American flag, trucks. Listen real quick. This is what they are claiming is a cover-up of the lab leak. So just, okay? Libs don't even know what gain of function is. Well, I'm going to explain it to you here. As a result, we place, and this is, excuse me, real quick. This is from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. They are the people who put this together for the Trump administration, for Dr. Fauci. This is what they were using. As a result, we place equal weight on the hypothesis that the COVID-19 virus was a result of laboratory modification, along with that of a natural outbreak or the release from a laboratory of a naturally occurring virus. That says there's equal weight on the chance of it being a lab leak and a naturally occurring virus. Does that sound like a cover-up? Or does that sound like they don't know? We judge that the following conditions need to be met to result in an accidental release of a laboratory-modified strain capable of producing the COVID-19 outbreak. Number one, the presence of precursor viruses with a high genetic similarity to the COVID-19 virus. Number two, laboratory use of reverse genetic systems to modify coronaviruses. Number three, laboratory testing to see if the virus can enter human cells and cause a disease via ACE2 receptors. And four, accidents with coronavirus materials due to chance, negligence, or generally, whatever, they redacted out. If you go through this, and there's a chart down here, right here. This is how they're determining whether or not it was a lab leak or if it was naturally occurring. You can look here. This is the initial bat coronavirus, assess viral function in cells, assess virus function in animal, assess gain of function. You can see here, optional, infect ACE2 mice with new strains, could require enhanced BSL. So, were these things occurring in the Wuhan lab before 2017? Yes. Late 2019? No. Or yes. They're all the same here. The main difference here is the assessing the gain of function. What we don't have is we don't actually have an event. We don't know if there was an event where these viruses that we're studying attached to a human and then moved out. In fact, if you go further down in this study, and I am not a biologist, I relied heavily on looking up words. Let me see if I can even find it here. I can find it. A lot of this shit I didn't totally understand at the time, so I had to go back. But okay, I think this is it. Okay. So when you go through this, the DNI release, and you can read this yourself. essentially says that Fauci funded the Wuhan research and that the work is widely viewed as the source of an unintentional lab leak. That's what Tulsi Gabbard is saying. It also says the documents expose manipulation of intelligent assessments. I found no evidence of that. There's an assertion, and that assertion is made by her. And what she's making that assertion similar to what she did with like the Durham Annex, where she's just saying not everybody agreed. So what they're citing here is that there were some people who believed that the lab leak theory was more likely, some people who believed it was less likely, and the consensus after everybody coming together was they couldn't really rule out one or the other. There were 0 people. The whistleblowers that she talks about, the scientists involved, there were 0 that say definitively this was a lab leak theory. In fact, there are 0 who even put a like high probability that it was a lab leak theory. And everything that she has provided here backs that up. Not one person in not one point at this, however many pages there were here, 94 pages, not one person says, yes, it was from a lab. What the documents do show, though, is, and it's mostly communications, testimony issues, and how assessments are shaped. There's no smoking gun. There's no document that's like the virus escaped from a lab. Some reporting from other people reporting on this say that the release renews the debate over Fauci and COVID origins, but nobody has said that this is definitive or closes the case. In fact, the best way you could possibly phrase what happened here is that Gabbard released a bunch of records that were meant to support the lab leak theory, but they don't prove it. I don't know what they have here. Like, if you look at, let's see here, where was this? Where was this? Okay, so yeah, here's the claims. Here's essentially what she's saying. Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this research. If you break that down, she says Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the IC community. So she's making a claim without any backing that the intelligence community during the Trump administration was politicized and weaponized against Trump, and that they suppressed truth about the lab leak origins. They didn't do that. That's what this study is. This study, they went over the assembly of long DNA sequences to determine whether or not this was naturally occurring or if it was if it occurred due to a lab leak. And in fact, if you go through this, what you'll find is that the mutations of the long sequence DNA would be really hard to prove it came from a lab. In fact, it's most likely that it didn't come from a lab because of the types of mutations and because of the unpredictability of the mutations. What they concluded is the structure of these mutations would seem more planned and less random if they were happening in a lab. But the way these are mutating, it doesn't look like it happened in a lab. Fauci, if you go back and you can watch him testify before Congress, he never once said that it did not come from a lab. Not one single time. There is no record of Dr. Fauci saying it didn't come from a lab. All he ever said was it could not. What we have right now at this time suggests that it came from the wet markets. But you can't rule that out. And this is what I'm saying too. Like, you look at the MAGA here, like, you guys are just saying like it's been proven that this was a lab leak. No, it hasn't. You just believe what people say. Can you point to anything? Like, what can I pull up here that proves it? In fact, like, can I Google it? How do you know? May, shut up. God, May's back? Good Lord. I thought we got rid of May. How do you know that it was leaked? Somebody tell me what to search. What was the cover-up? The cover-up was the study? So the Trump administration covered it up? Who covered this up? The lab studying bat virus didn't let it escape. It was good. It was as good as a dentist's office. I don't know what that means. All right. The other claim is that Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. I couldn't find that clip, and she didn't give us she didn't give us a clip. I don't know exactly what they're talking about there. She said the correspondence release totally directly contradicts Fauci's 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. In that hearing, while under oath, Fauci was repeatedly asked whether he spoke to FBI, CIA, DIA, or any other U.S. intelligence agency concerning viral research before, during, or after the pandemic. Fauci repeatedly dodged the questions before falsely stating, "Not to my knowledge," about COVID. In what she released, it is discussions of people talking with the intelligence communities, but not directly Dr. Fauci. So that wouldn't be a lie. Even if Fauci knew that wouldn't be a lie. That he'd get off on a technicality there. I have no idea I have no idea how we got to a place where you guys are just so convinced of stuff with no evidence, but it's bizarre. When is she going to talk about how Trump? Jen, will you get the rest of that comment? It cut off there. It just says, all I had was, when is she going to talk about how Trump? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, back to this. There we go. The other claim is that Fauci directed millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars towards gain-of-function research at the Wuhan laboratory. This one's weird because you can see, like, you can go watch his testimony as he spars with Rand Paul. There's different definitions of gain of function. You could make the argument that under certain definitions of gain of function that Fauci lied, that no American dollars were used for gain of function research. It's also not directly to the Wuhan lab, like it's through intermediaries. So you could make that case, but I don't think that would hold up well in court. And then her own framing is, in order to prevent another COVID-like pandemic or another major health incident that could affect us in the world, we have to end this gain of function research. Gain of function research is very important. I don't know why they want to end gain of function research. I don't understand any of this. I don't understand what you guys are even still doing here. Every bit of data that exists says that you are better off if you're vaccinated. Every bit of data that exists confirms over and over again the places that followed the masking requirements, the social distancing, kept things locked down, and then had high vaccination rates, all fared better. Every bit of data says that. The only thing that MAGA talks about is they talk about like vaccine injuries, and they focus on VAERS, which is completely unsubstantiated. It's just what people said. And there's no doubt in my mind that these vaccines caused injuries. There's no doubt in my mind that there were people that got vaccinated and then they had a reaction and may have lost their lives or may have had reactions that were left them hospitalized. But most, like, again, that's every medicine. That's every vaccination. There are symptoms, side effects, to any sort of medicine. There are side effects to certain foods. Some of you can eat peanuts. Some of you cannot. Should we ban peanuts forever? Does that mean the people who grow peanuts are trying to kill you? No. I can't believe we're still here. But I just wanted to point out that everything that she claimed, and you can go read through, and it's a heavy read. She doesn't back up a single claim. And yet she's releasing it not as a journalist, not as a political commentator, but as the director of national intelligence. Nothing will come of this. I'm also convinced that James Comer doesn't read. Let me finish the rest. Well, we can get through that because I already covered all her claims. James Comer must not read. He says things that are so wrong all the time that the only explanation I'm left with is somebody's telling him what to say.
This is more evidence of what we already knew. Dr. Fauci lied. He caused a great deal of pain for every American and most people around the world.
How? Jen Catola, sorry, I can't read everything. You're waiting for an answer on what? And ask it again. I see you say you're waiting for an answer, but the chat's cruising right now. So give me a second. Ask the question again.
The decisions that were made by the leadership at the time in America were based solely...
Put her under oath, see what she says. Yeah. Did anybody mention members only event yet?
On what Dr. Fauci was saying, and now we know what we've always suspected, that he completely lied. He lied about funding gain-of-function research. He lied about the origins of COVID. He just...
Let's find his clip. Let's see exactly what he says. So let's just do this together. Let's not take my word for it. While this plays, I'm going to find his gain of function.
Continued to lie throughout the entire COVID debacle. You know, the decisions were made about the vaccines. If we had known at the time that this didn't come from a wet market.
We still don't know that. For the record, our own conclusion that Tulsi Gabbard released says we still do not know the origins of the COVID-19 virus. We still don't know. They're acting like what she put out concludes that this was a lab leak. It does not conclude that.
At the time that this didn't come from a wet market, this was man-made. Would that have had an impact on the type of vaccine that Americans were given that we now know probably has caused a lot of health problems as a result of the COVID vaccine? So we already did the investigation.
Again, we don't know that. They're relying on VAERS. Our government has not done a scientific study on the effects of the COVID vaccine. Why Congress is involved here is beyond me without complete information. But this stuff hasn't been done either.
And we already have criminal referrals sitting on the desk at the Department of Justice. The Senate did the same. The Senate Homeland Security also has criminal referrals dating back a year and a half on Dr. Fauci. We also, my committee...
For what? What crime? Lying to Congress, I guess? That's the only one? We haven't found the lie yet.
Oversight Committee did an investigation of the...
Don't I think it's crazy that we don't know the origin? No. We will never know the origin. We will never, ever know the origin because China's not going to ever give us that kind of view into the Wuhan lab. We'll never know. We're never going to be... Because the thing is, and you can say for whatever reason, but if I'm... Let's just say, like, playing devil's advocate. If I'm China, or if I'm the Wuhan lab, I wouldn't trust America. So I may not want them to come in here and look at it because they're going to lie. Or they released the virus and they don't want the Americans to know that. They don't want the world to know that. There's no incentive for China to cooperate here. We will never know. Anybody claiming that they know for sure that it came from a lab or a wet market is just full of shit. They just have an opinion that they want to be right, and they're sharing that opinion. That's what's so frustrating about Tulsi Gabbard and James Comer here. They're just sharing an opinion that they want to be right. They don't have the backing to make this claim. And it would be the same. It would be the exact reverse. If you had somebody standing here in place of James Comer, let's say it's Ro Khanna saying, I know definitively that the virus did not come from a lab, that it came from a wet market. That would also be a lie. We do not know. And when you read through the documents, that's exactly what they say. We don't know. We still don't know, and we will never know.
Pardon that Joe Biden gave, all the pardons. And we concluded that Joe Biden wasn't at the table. There were no meetings with Joe Biden. The Constitution's clear. The president has sole authority to grant pardons, but there's no evidence that at the time that President Biden was even involved in the pardon process. It was...
Yeah. Scuzzlebutt. Wait, that's the point. China won't tell us for reasons, it sounds like. But the reason could be multiple reasons. The reason could be it is a lab leak. The other reason could be is they don't trust that we won't pin it on them. Either of those is likely. I don't know the percentage of which, like, depending on your opinion on China, you might have a different opinion on like how likely each of those is. But like the fact that China isn't allowing us visibility doesn't mean that you can conclude something. You can have an opinion, but we're never going to know definitively. That's the point. And I don't like if they came out here and they said, like, look what China's doing. This looks nefarious. That's fine. But they're not doing that. They're saying definitively that it was a lab leak, and they're trying to throw Fauci in jail for saying that it wasn't a lab leak, but they don't have the evidence to say that it is a lab leak. That's the point here. So why, if they don't have the evidence backing this up, what the fuck are they doing? Why are they investigating this? Why do they have indictments? They can't prove this either. Neither side can prove it. And yet they're out here definitively speaking like they can. You know why they're talking about this? Because they don't want to talk about anything else. It's a good distraction for them.
They were signed by the Autopin, but there's no evidence And that was based on all the depositions we had with all the key people in the White House during the Biden administration. There's no evidence Joe Biden participated in the decision-making of the pardon process. So there's more than enough evidence. And what Tulsi did is...
I forgot. They're also trying to take down Biden and say, like, this is nonsense, too. Joe Biden, there doesn't have to be a record of meetings for Joe Biden to choose who he pardoned. He can wake up in the morning and go, I've decided to pardon these people. None of they just want to, like, this is now what they're going to say. They're going to spend the rest of their time not going after Epstein. They're certainly not going to talk about Israel. They're certainly not going to talk about the economy. They're certainly not going to investigate Donald Trump's crime. They're going to spend all their time now trying to jail Dr. Fauci. All of this, again, happened under the first Trump administration.
It provides even more evidence for the Department of Justice to begin taking steps to hold Dr. Fauci accountable.
Yeah, so
yeah. Have I commented on the new Hampshire state rep? They got 33 years. I don't know anything about that. Nope. You want to send it to me? I'll happily look at it. Let's just go. I just want to go look at this.
I don't
testimony.
expect you today to
I want to
admit.
see if you guys, MAGA, here's your chance. This is what they say. This is the clip they say he lied in. This is the clip that they're claiming he lied and should go to prison for. You tell me where the lie is and what you can prove.
That you approved of NIH funding for gain-of-function research in Wuhan, but your repeated denials have worn thin, and a majority of Americans, frankly, don't believe you. Even the NIH now admits that EcoHealth Alliance did perform experiments in Wuhan that created viruses not found in nature that actually did gain in lethality. The facts are clear. The NIH did fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan, despite your protestations. You can deny it all you want, but even the Chinese authors of the paper, in their paper...
This is the last clip, and then we'll be done with the COVID stuff.
...admit that viruses not found in nature were created, and yes, they gained in infectivity. Your persistent denials, though, are not simply a stain on your
RTP ruins everything, including your dad's rectum. Destroyed that thing.
Reputation, but are a clear and present danger to the country and to the world. As Professor Kevin Esfelt of MIT has written, gain-of-function research looks like a gamble that civilization can't afford to risk. And yet here we are again, with you steadfast in your denials. Why does it matter? Because gain-of-function research with laboratory-created viruses not found in nature could cause a pandemic even worse the next time. We're suffering today from one that has a mortality of approximately 1%. They're experimenting with viruses that have mortalities of between 15 and 50%.
Now, I would say the person here who is making these claims that are unfounded would be Rand Paul, who has no knowledge of whether or not the COVID-19 virus was the result of gain-of-function research done at the Wuhan lab. He doesn't know that. Now he's attributing gain-of-function research to the Wuhan lab with a lab leak, and he doesn't have any evidence of that. I would say that the person here that is being untruthful so far is him. He's not being honest. As somebody who went to medical school, I think he was like an ophthalmologist maybe, he should know better.
So our civilization could be at risk from one of these viruses. Experiments that combine unknown viruses with known pandemic-causing viruses.
Digital War said, look into the national biolabs in Canada and Manitoba that kicked out Wuhan docs and students months before the COVID was released. That doesn't prove anything. That's the fucking point with you. That's the whole point here. That doesn't prove anything. That's just a story. That's just a thing that you say looks suspicious. That's fine. If Tulsi Gabbard released a report that was like, these things look suspicious, we wouldn't be talking about it in this way. But she didn't. She released, and Rand Paul's doing the same thing. They're saying this is a lab leak, and they don't have the evidence. That's the point.
Viruses are incredibly risky. Experiments that combine unknown viruses with coronaviruses that have as much as 50% mortality could endanger civilization as we know it. And here you sit, unwilling to accept any responsibility for the current pandemic and unwilling to take any steps to prevent gain-of-function research from possibly unleashing an even more deadly virus. You mislead the public by saying that the published viruses could not be COVID. Well, exactly no one is alleging that. No one is alleging that the published viruses by the Chinese are COVID. What we are saying...
Actually, they are saying it now.
...is that this was risky type of research, gain-of-function research. It was risky to share this with the Chinese. And
I take it back. He was not making that claim. I take it back on Rand Paul. I was wrong. He is not making that claim, but you guys are. So I apologize to Rand Paul, not to you guys. He's saying what I'm saying. He's saying we know that there was gain-of-function research there, but we can't prove that the virus came from that lab. So I apologize, Rand. We're on the same page.
May have been created from a not yet revealed virus. We don't anticipate the Chinese are going to reveal the virus if it came from their lab.
Damn, that sounds like me too.
You know that, but you continue to mislead. You continue to support NIH money going to Wuhan. You continue to say you trust the Chinese scientist. You appear to have learned nothing from this pandemic. Will you today finally take some responsibility for funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator, with all due respect, I disagree with so many of the things that you've said. First of all, gain of function is a very nebulous term. We have spent, not us, but outside bodies, a considerable amount of effort to give a more precise definition to the type of research that is of concern that might lead to a dangerous situation. You are aware of that. That is called P3CO.
We're aware that you deleted gain of function from the NIH website.
Well, I can get back to that in a moment if we have time. But let's get back to the operating framework and guide rails of which we operate.
Again, the reason that we're showing this is because this is where they claim Fauci lied in front of Congress and should be thrown in jail. So whenever you find it, let me know where the lie is here.
And you have ignored them. The guidelines are very, very clear that you have to be dealing with
virologist Dr. Robert Malone and me are saying the mutation could not have occurred in nature. Well, the information that Tulsi Gabbard released says that it could not have, that it was likely in nature. And you can go through that scientific research yourself. But Dr. Fauci or Dr. Malone got really fucking rich over his denial of COVID being naturally occurring. And the people who worked with Dr. Malone all say that he's a quack. So if you can cite something specific, go ahead. But you're just citing an authority and saying he said it, therefore. I read through Tulsi Gabbard what she released. What she released doesn't say what Dr. Malone says.
Pathogen that clearly is shown and very likely to be highly transmissible in an uncontrollable way in humans and to have a high degree of morbidity and mortality, and that you do experiments to enhance that, hence the word EPPP, enhanced pathogens of
so when EcoHealth Alliance...
Yes, rabbit hole. Fauci's trying to make the gain of function definition to be only harmful. Paul is saying gain of function was and ought to be to include more transmissible, which COVID was. Yes, they have a difference of opinion on gain of function, which is fine. And I don't know enough to take a side there. But again, the reason we're watching this is because there's supposed to be some sort of lie here in this testimony that is a reason that Dr. Fauci should go to jail.
Took the virus SHC014 and combined it with WIV1 and caused a recombinant virus that doesn't exist in nature, and it made mice sicker, mice that had humanized cells. You're saying that that's not gain-of-function research?
According to the framework and guidelines.
So what you're doing is defining away gain-of-function. No. You're simply saying it doesn't exist because you changed the definition on the NIH website. This is terrible, and you're completely trying to escape the idea
that's a hell of a claim for Rand Paul to say that Fauci changed the definition on the NIH website. There is consensus with people within the NIH at that time, and there's plenty of prominent people who agree with Dr. Fauci's definition of gain of function. There are probably just as many people who disagree with Dr. Fauci. But this is just an interpretation issue. This isn't something that is unlawful.
We should do something about trying to prevent a pandemic from leaking from a lab. The preponderance of evidence now points towards this coming from the lab, and what you've done is change the definition on your website to try to cover your ass, basically. That's what you've done. You've changed the website to try to have a new definition that doesn't include the risky research that's going on. Until you admit that it's risky, we're not going to get anywhere. You have to admit that this research was risky. The NIH has now rebuked them. Your own agency has rebuked them. But the thing is you're still unwilling to admit that they gained in function when they say they became sicker. They gained in lethality. It's a new virus. That's not gain of function?
According to the definition that is currently operable, Senator, let's make it clear for the people who are listening. The current definition was done over a 2 to 3 year period by outside bodies, including the NSABB, 2 conferences by the National Academy of Science.
Rabbit hole said it's fishy as to when the definition changed. Again, doesn't matter. Not a crime. Right? If there was not a bunch of people on Fauci's side who disagreed with the definition of gain of function, then it would be one thing. But there are a lot of people who do. So what's the crime here? I'm not arguing COVID. I don't think that this is the place to argue that. I'm not a virologist. I'm assuming that none of you are virologists either. I'm just trying to identify where the lie is here that should get him thrown in jail.
Science, engineering, and medicine on December 2014, March 2016. We commissioned external risk-benefit assessment, and then on January of 2017, the Office of Science and Technology Policy of the White House issued the current policy.
And coincidentally,
I have not changed
the definition
any
appeared
definition.
On the same day the NIH said...
Here's Christopher. Christopher, see, once again, you got to realize what you're what you just posted. You said the declassified documents highlighted by Tulsi in June 2026 do not state, God, Chad is moving too fast, do not state that COVID mutations occurred naturally. God, this heart keeps moving. Rather, shit, God. Why is this doing this today? It doesn't normally do this. Normally I can scroll up and it doesn't pop back down. Yeah, there it is. Rather, the materials say allege something else. Yes, what she released alleges something. Allege. Do you know what allege means? Read back what you wrote. Alleges, 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 alleges. Not proves, right? Not proves. Fucking alleges. I know you just copy and pasted that from your AI search, but do you know what it says? Yes, she's making an allegation. No, it is not substantiated by what she provided as evidence. That's the point. So if she can't prove it, where's the crime?
That yes, there was a gain
And
of
if she can't prove it and there's no crime, why are we investigating Fauci?
function in Wuhan the same day the definition appeared, the new definition, to try to define away what's going on in Wuhan. Until you accept it, until you accept responsibility, we're not going to get anywhere close to trying to prevent another lab leak of this dangerous sort of experiment. You won't admit that it's dangerous, and for that lack of judgment, I think it's time that you resign.
Thank you, Senator Paul, and I would like to give the time to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, well, there were so many things that are egregious misrepresentation here, Madam Chair, that I don't think I'd be able to refute all of them, but just a couple of them for the listeners to hear for. You have said that I'm unwilling to take any responsibility for the current pandemic.
Mark, when Fauci said social distance and wear a mask, and then he saw at the ballpark when he took his mask down to eat, you're like, that was it for me. He's a liar. Yeah, that's the problem with you, Mark. This is once again, here's Mark. Remember, Mark's the same person earlier who said that women are too emotional. Mark just made an emotional decision on COVID. That's what he did. Mark decided that that everything Dr. Fauci said was a lie because he saw a still shot of Fauci with his mask down while he was eating a hot dog. And that was enough for Mark. Mark, you're proving time and time again that you are an emotional decision maker. You don't do research. You made your decision on a virus based on Dr. Fauci eating a hot dog. That's crazy.
I have no responsibility for the current pandemic. The current pandemic, okay? Number two, you said the overwhelming amount of evidence indicates that's a lab leak. I believe most card-carrying viral phylogenists and molecular virologists would disagree with you that it's much more likely, even though we leave open all possibilities, it's much more likely that this was a natural occurrence. Third, you say we can
tested 80,000 animals and no animals have been found with COVID.
Senator Paul, the time is for
And
Dr. Fauci to
third,
respond.
you made a statement just a moment ago that's completely incorrect.
I bet you're the type to wear a mask in the car by yourself. I bet you're the type that 4 years later is using the same dumb fucking jokes that you made back then with not a single thought of your own. Not a comeback of your own, not a criticism of your own, just the same shit that I've heard and seen in this chat every single day for as long as I've done this, every time we talk about COVID. There's nothing original about you. That's silly. No, I didn't wear a car in the mask. That's dumb. It's also a dumb insult. What if you do wear a mask in the car? I might have said car in the mask in the car. Who cares? Why do you care about that? We've heard it a million times. Stop recycling shit that's not your own.
You say we continue to support research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You proved it in August of last year.
No, your statement says, quote, I wrote it down as you were writing. You continue to support research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You were in committee a month ago and said you still trust the Chinese scientists and you still support the research over there. You said it a month ago
Senator
in committee.
Paul, I have allowed Dr. Fauci to respond. You've had your time. I'm going to give him.
He's going to be dishonest. He ought to be challenged.
Senator Paul, we will allow Dr. Fauci to respond after you've given accusations like that. Dr. Fauci.
There's supposed to be an apostrophe and between the U and the R there, May, and then you need an E. Your, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. It's 2 words, right? But then you shorten it, so you spelled that wrong.
I don't have any more to say except to say that, as usual, and I have a great deal of respect for this body of the Senate, and it makes me very uncomfortable to have to say something, but he is egregiously incorrect in what he says. Thank you.
History will figure that out on its own.
Yeah, and here we are with history. Here we are. And now Republicans, because they just have to double down on what they said, they can't ever admit that they were wrong. They're just doubling down on this, and now they're claiming that they're going to jail Fauci for what? Also, would like to point out that it's interesting that there's no criminal investigation. If you guys are so sure, if this evidence is overwhelming, why is it Congress? Why is it not the Department of Justice? If something criminal happened, Congress can't do a thing about it, right? If you understand who's in charge of what, Congress can't arrest somebody. Congress can't charge somebody with a crime. If this evidence is so good, and if Dr. Fauci is such a criminal, what's the Department of Justice doing? Where's the indictments? Where's the evidence? Have they gone to a grand jury? No. The reason this is going through Congress is because it's not an investigation. It's because it's political theater. I don't want to hear, we don't need to talk about Fauci anymore. Like 2 years, and this is what they came up with. And she did it on her last day because you know what Tulsi Gabbard doesn't want to do? Defend any of this. So she waited till her last day. She's like, here you go, I'm out. And now anybody who wants to question will be like, oh, talk to Gabbard, and she's not going to. If it was serious, it wouldn't be in Congress. It's in Congress, which is how you know it's not serious. Amy Lynn said, the Trump administration has secured 0 successful criminal convictions or prosecutions against prominent Democratic political opponents or lawmakers. Facts. But if you talk to the people in this chat, you'd be sure that they've been locking everybody up. No people have been locked up. All the things you believe are lies. We say that a lot, but like everything you believe is a lie. While we're doing this, we'll do this again. MAGA, just MAGA. Please in the chat, say something that you believe politically that is true, verifiably true. Not you believe it's true, verifiably true. Give me a political opinion that you have that is verifiably true. Or I guess it's not an opinion, a political fact. We have gone like 0 for 80 on this. None of it's all going to be stuff that you can't prove. It's going to be wild. But while this is going, Lost Panda said these same people think that Fauci is so bad, believe everything that RFK Jr. says. Which is an interesting point, by the way, right? Fauci didn't make any money off of COVID. RFK makes a lot of money off of being a vaccine skeptic. He's made a lot of money telling people not to be vaccinated. Millions of dollars off of telling people not to be vaccinated. That's a guy. You want to follow the money to Fauci. He made something like $3. He doesn't make any money off of any of this stuff. But RFK does. But we wouldn't do that, right? Like, follow the money, unless the money leads to Republicans. Then it's just capitalism, and you're just jealous of their money. All right, we're going to move on from that. I want to talk about Iran for the last hour and 5 minutes of the show. Just a reminder, guys, we are a ways away on the gift goal. If you can help us knock out the remaining balance of that gift goal, it would be greatly appreciated. This is what we do for a job, and we have to rely on donations in order to keep this going. Nobody wants to advertise on YouTube for a left-leaning political show, so we rely on viewers' generosity in order for us to keep the lights on here. If you want to help us knock out the remaining balance of that gift goal, I will read anything that you say. And then just a reminder, Wednesday, we have a members-only event. You can join us on Discord as long as you're a paid member on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. If you need help figuring out how to become a member, you can just ask a mod in the chat, and they will be happy to help you learn how to do that. I want to first get to Mark Levine. Mark Levine, had a rough time. Mark Levine is a Israel first, America first podcaster, and he's having a hard time. He's very upset about the ceasefire. He really wants Israel to keep doing genocides. It's really tough on him when Israel doesn't get to do genocides, and he gets very angry about it. And now he's citing polling that I can't figure out here, saying that Americans are just pro-regime change. This is his new defense, is that actually Americans want this war to continue, and we want to just keep going around the world and murdering leaders that we don't like.
Well, look at this. New York Post. President Trump's most fervent supporters prefer overthrowing Iran's theocratic regime to reaching a negotiated settlement with Tehran by a margin of more than...
This is the Reagan Institute Summer Survey. Again, only amongst Trump's most ardent supporters. Barely 51% want a regime change.
2-1, according to a new survey. The Reagan Institute Summer Survey found that 51% of self-described MAGA Republicans said they wanted the U.S. to install new leadership in Iran, while just 25%...
Didn't they do that? Didn't they install new leadership? See the random pic of Trump's new daughter? Yeah.
...preferred a peace deal. Among all Republicans, 50% said they were in favor of putting a U.S.-friendly regime in place, with 25% again saying they wanted a negotiated settlement. You know, these isolationist so-called influencers don't influence anybody except the few people in Washington, D.C. And I would encourage the Republicans, MAGA, traditional conservatives, White House, Congress, to start paying attention to your supporters and your voters. Victory is the best for electoral success. Lincoln found that out at the end of the Civil War, too.
Comparing the end of the Civil War to what happened in Iran is silly. Barely a majority of the most loyal Trump supporters want more regime change, I guess. Like, we already did regime change. I guess they want double regime change. I don't even know how that question was asked. It sounds like they don't know that we did regime change, honestly. Sounds like they don't understand much of that. But it's been gross. Really, really gross to watch the Zionists explode and demand that Israel, using the same argument, like Israel should be able to defend itself while they're literally invading Lebanon. They have to be able to defend themselves, as they literally just like launch attacks on Iran when we're supposed to have a ceasefire. This is a more scientific poll. This is a CBS News poll, which is not just MAGA Trump supporters. Their polling says that the rest of the country, or the country as a whole, thinks something entirely different.
Our CBS News poll out this morning shows that more than 3/4 of Americans want to end the conflict now, with 69% saying the conflict with Iran was not worth the costs. More than half, 57%, say the president's war with Iran created more problems than it solved. And 2 in 3 believe that the administration reached agreement with Iran mainly because it wanted the conflict to be over. Our CBS News poll out this morning shows.
And the Zionists are like, Trump, don't listen to the American people. If Trump wants to win in the midterms, if Trump wants to maintain power, he's going to need to cater to the middle, not his base. His base doesn't know what's going on. They'll, like, again, he came up with this memorandum of understanding, which is exactly what I've been promoting for the last 6 months. And the MAGA here in the chat are like, yeah, I like this memorandum of understanding, which is what we've been asking for the entire time. Trump completely capitulated and sounds like one of the like free Palestine people when it comes to the memorandum of understanding. So, or maybe not free Palestine, but those who were defending the JCPOA. Donald Trump capitulated totally because it was the right thing to do, and we gave him credit for that. For the record, you can go back and watch whatever day it was, Tuesday or Wednesday when the MOU was signed. I think Wednesday. I was consistently like, here's something I agree with Trump on. This is good. I'm glad Trump is doing this. This is exactly what he should be doing. And the MAGA in the chat, we're all too happy to just agree with us. But please recognize that he completely capitulated seemingly overnight. Here is Abatia Ungar Sargon from Newsmax, who is a conservative Zionist, and she is so pissed about this memorandum of understanding. And she's right. Again, she's actually right on her perspective here. Her and I disagree because she's like, Israel should be able to just murder whoever they want. I don't agree with that. But she's right about the memorandum of understanding.
It's total capitulation. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Every Republican defending this knows that if a Democrat had signed a document like this, they would be out there blasting them to kingdom come. President Trump had one job.
Yeah, because we had the JCPOA, and that's all they did. Republicans just were blasting Democrats for the JCPOA. And then they just remade, like, now it's just like a watered down version of it. And they're like, this is great.
And it was.
I agree with the surrender terms. The surrender terms. What do you mean the surrender terms? What surrender terms? For us surrendering? There's no surrender here.
Not to sign a deal that could credibly be said to be the equivalent of the JCPOA. And now he has signed a memorandum of understanding that is very clearly and obviously worse than the JCPOA. It has nothing in there about verification. It states, Katie, that they will not charge tolls on the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days, meaning it has occurred to the Iranian regime now for the first time that they can get away with doing that because we just showed them that they can bring the greatest superpower to ever exist on planet Earth to its knees with a few mines. This is just an utter disaster. Every word the president said today was a complete reversal of his own positions.
Yeah, no notes. No notes. Am I still saying this based on the leaked MOU? No, Trump confirmed the MOU. We know the MOU. It's not leaked. They signed. He signed it. Amy, oh Lord. Amy said Trump is make Iran wealthy again. Thank you, Bill, for the $25 over on PayPal as well, and Lee for the $50 on Venmo said thank you for the hard work. Amber said when is she going to talk about how Trump administration has 0 successful prosecutions going back to his first term and lock her up? That was the one we were looking for. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for the support here.
2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, he made Secretary of State Marco Rubio look like a fool because he made the argument you just made, Katie, that the ballistic missile program was a protective shield around the nuclear program.
Is he putting JD out there for a purpose other than trying to sell this to the American people? You wrote an interesting column about this.
JD is the fall guy. That's what's going on. It's so bad. Trump's like, you got to fall on the sword on this one, JD. I'm not taking it.
Yes, I wrote a Substack about this in which I argued that JD Vance is getting border czarred, basically. You know, when Joe Biden realized that the open border was a problem, he handed the most important brief that he had no intention of solving to Kamala Harris, and it hung around her neck like an albatross and basically tanked her presidential run, among other reasons, of course. And it feels a little bit like JD Vance is being border czarred. He was the only...
There we go, Christopher. We're on the same page. Yeah, screw this. Peace. Let's have peace with Iran. Let's do that.
Administration member out there defending this all week long, not doing a wonderful job, I have to say, doing a lot of gaslighting, calling what turned out to be the actual MOU Iranian propaganda to our...
We have people in this chat like, oh, you're still talking about that linked... Remember when the Trump administration's like, that's not the agreement. That's not the memorandum of understanding. And then the next day, Trump's like, no, that's totally the memorandum of understanding. And then the next day he signed it. And we're like, fuck. Are we going to ever talk about that, MAGA? No, they just straight up lied to your face. Like, that is not it. Because it came out and it was being criticized. And you guys are like, yeah, that's not it. It's not, that's fake. And then it was exactly what they said it was. Like, they didn't even change anything. That was just the memorandum of understanding. It was true. How many times does Iran have to leak something that turns out to be right and the Trump administration lies about it before you go, maybe the Trump administration is lying? One thing that sucks about being an American right now is realizing that when we're at war with another country, the other country is more trustworthy than us. The other country is far more likely to tell us the truth than our country. Our country's like, fuck you. They're like, oh, we'll tell you the truth.
Faces. And it just seemed like every time he opened his mouth, it got worse and worse and worse. The one defense I keep hearing from people on the right is, well, if they break the MOU, if they break the terms of this, we can go right back to bombing them. They are not going to break these terms. This is their wish list. They made out like bandits, and they know.
Well, that didn't turn out to be true. They did, and they walked away. Now, it sounds like it's back on. They walked away from the negotiating table. Now it sounds like negotiations are ongoing again.
They are never going to break these terms because they have no need to.
Yeah, it's almost like they weren't really a problem, right? See, the problem with Batia there is Batia just wants to bomb the fuck out of Iran. Batia wants Israel to be able to just obliterate Iran. And now she's complaining. She's like, why would Iran violate these terms? They got what they want. Yep. It's almost like they never wanted war with us. It's almost like they didn't want to build a nuclear weapon. It's almost like they didn't want to do any of this shit. It's almost like Israel just kept lying and got Trump to pull out of the JCPOA, and now Trump is realizing in real time, like, oh shit, I got played. I got played by Israel. And she's pissed because she's like, Israel should be able to like murder Iranians and blow up Iran. That's what she's complaining about. At the same time, she's making the argument that this deal should probably hold because it's exactly what Iran wants. So Iran wanted to not have a nuclear program. Iran wanted to have economic trade available throughout the world, and they didn't want to go to war with us. I feel like we said that the whole time. Didn't we say that the whole time? Iran didn't violate first. Israel, as an ally of the U.S., violated first. I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Israel knows it can't take Iran unless it drastically weakens them. They can't anyways. They need the United States. They can try and weaken them all they want, but what are they going to do? Invade Iran? No shot. Amy said the Lego videos have been more accurate in telling us what's going on than this administration or the media. Facts. they nailed it. All right. I want to get to Lindsey Graham. He was pissed. And now I guess he's reversing course. Remember, Donald Trump was asked about Lindsey Graham being pissed, and he's like, I'll talk to Lindsey. I'll get him straightened out. And then Lindsey Graham's on Face the Nation, and it seems that Trump has straightened him out, and he's changing his tune now.
But you wrote 9 days ago the idea of a U.S. plan with partners to create a fund of at least $300 billion. This is point 6 in the memorandum, is tone deaf, and it's akin to a Marshall Plan for Germany with the Nazis still in charge. Why did you change your position and now you support it?
Because before I thought the money was coming from the West. If the West funds Iran, I think that would be a Marshall Plan with the Nazis still in charge for Germany. If the plan envisions the Sunni Arabs, if the Sunni Arabs do it, can you imagine if Saudi Arabia...
So my problem with this argument here is he's like, if we do this deal with Iran and we give them money, then it's the same as if the Nazis stayed in power. But let's reverse engineer this. Let's say that after the Marshall Plan, like we let the Nazis stay in power. That would have been us. But let's say that we weren't involved in that negotiation and it was just the allies who decided to let the Nazi party stay in power during the Marshall Plan. Would that have been any different? Would the Nazi power still have been in power? Yes. So let's fast forward to Iran. Whether we're giving them the money or not, the Iranians, the people who are in power, are still in power, no matter who's giving the money. This is just what happened here is Lindsey Graham was told to stand down by Donald Trump, and now he's standing down, but he's so prideful he won't admit that he's wrong. So he's now trying to reverse course and reverse engineer this story as if somehow if Iran gets paid by another country, that leadership is not in power. But if they get paid by our country, that leadership stays in power and it's bad. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this logic at all.
Iran, I think that would...
I don't equate Iran with Nazis. Lindsey Graham is quite... Are you watching this? Lindsey Graham. She asked Lindsey Graham about his quote. Now I'm trying to figure out how his quote makes any sense.
Be a Marshall Plan with the Nazis still in charge for Germany. If the plan envisions the Sunni Arabs... if the Sunni Arabs do it, can you imagine if Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates invest $300 billion in Iran? That would tell me that Iran has changed. To all the experts out there, do you think Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates are going to invest in Iran with a theocracy bent on destroying Sunni Islam? So think it through.
Is that Iran's goal? I didn't know that was Iran's goal. Maybe I'm just too new to this. I didn't know that was their goal.
If the money comes from the Sunni Arab world, I hope it happens. It would mean that the Sunni Arabs believe that Iran has changed to the point they want to be a business partner. I pray that happens. I doubt if it will.
You doubt if it will.
I think if you go, it's past 11:30. I think if you go look at the videos I posted today, either on TikTok or YouTube, one of the videos I posted was essentially this exact argument. That I think the solution to this is economic mobility for Iran. That if you give Iran and these other Gulf states the ability to interact with each other and integrate their economies to sell each other goods, that creates a buffer where people are less likely to want to go to war with each other. I'm a fan of this. A lot of like conservatives, like Warhawk conservatives, call this globalism. Like I call it whatever, having skin in the game, or like mutual destruction if you go to war, whatever you want to call it. When people economically are intertwined, they're less likely to go fight with each other because like the bottom line matters to so many people more than in this case religious differences. So it's interesting to watch them make my arguments a week later, pretending like they came up with it. Either way, I don't care. Like, good. Keep saying this. This is better for all of us. That we should have peace. People should be allowed to invest in Iran. Iran should be allowed to sell their oil. All of this should happen. We shouldn't sanction the shit out of countries just because we don't like their leadership. We should figure out a way to work with these countries instead of demonizing everybody who isn't like a right-wing psychopath. The only countries that we currently seem to like are like dictators. Jimmy said, fun fact, there's a Chinese conspiracy that COVID came from the United States government. That is actually a fun fact. I was unaware of that. That's amazing. Send that to me if you have it. All right. It feels like, honestly, at this point, we're kind of like, we just have sides that are rooting. There are people that legitimately view this war through the lens of how it's playing out. And then there are significantly more people who view this war through the lens of pro-Trump or anti-Trump. And so the pro-Trump people are just like, they want it to play out however he wants, however he says it's going to play out. They don't care about the outcome, right? Because the day before this memorandum of understanding, you were all calling it crazy. You were all saying that we can't negotiate with Iran, that we have to obliterate them, that we should just take over their country, that we should go in, steal their oil, decapitate their leadership. The very next day, we capitulated on everything. We gave them this great deal, and you guys were like, yeah, this is exactly what we should do. Why did you change your opinion? Because Trump changed his opinion. And it's not that, like, I don't even think it's necessarily you just don't have thoughts of your own. I think that your first thought is Donald Trump. You need Donald Trump to be right. And that makes sense when you look at Donald Trump, the president, over his first term and second term. He's consistently doing things that he campaigned against. He's consistently taking the side of things or of positions where he was on the opposite side of, literally sometimes the day before. I would argue that in some cases that's a good thing. I would argue that at least with Iran, it appears that when the evidence was overwhelming and it was going to hurt him, he did the right thing. He didn't continue to double down on bad policy. He did the right thing. And he was wrong about it the entire time. But because he's also an egomaniac and because this is politics, he can't say that he capitulated. He can't say, everybody who disagreed with me was right and I was wrong. He just moves on, and some of you guys do the same thing. I think this is an opportunity for us to maybe take a step back and realize that most people in America weren't comfortable with what was happening in Iran. Most of us were like lost the veneer of Israel being a good partner and just protecting themselves. And at some point, a majority of Americans became aware that Israel was a problem, that this war in Iran didn't make any sense, that Iran didn't really pose a threat to us. This idea that they were a nuclear power or trying to become a nuclear power hell-bent on destroying America just wasn't true. And Donald Trump saw the polling. He saw the writing on the wall. He saw that Iran wasn't going to give up, and he caved. And that was the right thing to do. He was supposed to. He should cave. He should have caved earlier, but he caved, and I'll give him credit for that. This is Trey Yingst, and this is an entire segment in Fox that was really interesting to me because somehow Trey got Donald Trump to be on the phone with him. And if this was on CNN, nobody in this chat that supports Donald Trump would believe a word of it. The only reason I'm showing it here is this is a Fox News contributor, and it's on Fox News. And again, I just want you to think about if this logo said CNN or MS Now or any left-wing logo, you would not believe the story he's about to tell you. But because it's on Fox News, they believe it. And I believe it because it sounds true, and it seems to fit with everything Donald Trump is doing, but it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just spoke with President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking...
If you're Iran, you're on the other side of this, and you're hearing this for the first time, that Donald Trump is saying, if you guys don't, in the next 60 days, get your shit together, we're going to take over the strait. We're going to take over your country. Iran knows. How many more times can Trump threaten them and not follow through? It's been clear virtually this entire war that Iran was never afraid of threats like this. They always seem to know that there was a step Donald Trump wasn't going to be able to take. And Donald Trump can't take that step because Congress isn't going to back it up. Yeah, exactly. That's never happening. We're not going to get the control of the Straits of Hormuz. This is just Donald Trump posturing, and Iran's going to call his bluff, and he'll back down.
20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country. Now, earlier today, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said this about Iranian enrichment of uranium. The president also reacting to that. Take a listen.
We will not give up our right to enrichment, and they, too, will be forced to accept it. You all know what the so-called President of the United States was saying. He had made a complete 100-degree turn. He was saying that Iran must surrender unconditionally. Iran has no right to do this, it has no right to do that.
President Trump, during our call, responded directly to the...
Thank you, Angela, for joining the Dollar Train. About 40 minutes left, guys. This will be one of the last videos we have. We're pretty close on knocking that gift goal out. If you want to help us out, it's Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or Super Chats.
Those comments by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. President Trump told Fox News he better watch his mouth, he better shape up, or we'll take over the rest of the country. And so clearly the president reacting directly to these comments from Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian. And also President Trump talked about the broader memorandum of understanding, indicating this is just a ceasefire extension. This is not the final deal with the Iranian regime. And the president says he holds the cards and maintains a variety of options if the Iranians don't make these serious commitments at the negotiating table. He said, I have a 60-day option, and I can do whatever I want after that option. So again, President Trump leaving a variety of considerations on the table and says that the United States could become the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and collect tolls itself while taking oil, around 20%, the president says. As it relates to oil,
Guardian angels, the thing that I love about guardian angels is that when they step in, they take 20%. That's definitely what a guardian angel is. We're here for you. We're going to help you out. Give me 20%.
President Trump also said that 19 million barrels of crude oil exited the Persian Gulf yesterday as a result of this memorandum of understanding with...
This channel always smells like cat piss and hair dye. I don't know how to tell you this, bud, about senses. What you're viewing here is what your eyes are seeing. What you're smelling is what's in the room with you. I'm going to guess that's your upper lip, and perhaps shower is in order.
The Iranians. Guys.
So, Trey, as always, a fascinating report and fascinating interview you just had with President Trump. When he says something like the United States will be the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and that the United States reserves the option of taking 20% of the oil that passes through there, is that a message as much to Iran as it is to other world leaders around the globe?
I love watching them like interpret this. What's the best way to spin this? Yeah, it's a threat. And he's not going to do shit about it. And you guys, everybody here has sat through and watched Donald Trump threaten, tomorrow we will annihilate an entire civilization. Next morning, just kidding. If Iran doesn't capitulate now, we will unleash hell. Didn't unleash hell. We just never do. Everybody here knows Trump's not going to do shit because he can't.
To participate in this and help us make sure that the strait remains open to the free passage of oil?
Yeah, absolutely. Because remember, during Operation Epic Fury, President Trump called on these other countries to get involved because the United States uses just a few percentage points.
Trump threatening to take oil from the strait is a threat to all countries that rely on Iranian oil. True.
Of its oil.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, let's see what China and Russia thinks about that. Janice said, because it's been too long, but I've been watching on YouTube after the live ends. Thank you, Janice. Appreciate it. Edwin said, can I get a taco? You can. Trump will provide tacos for you, not just on Tuesday. Yeah, a couple times a week, Trump provides tacos.
That actually comes out of the Persian Gulf. And these other countries didn't want to get directly involved in securing this critical international waterway. It was only after the fact that they actually were offering to help and send military reinforcements. It was the U.S. military, the U.S. Navy specifically, that put that significant economic pressure on the Iranian regime by closing Iranian ports. They were losing hundreds of millions of dollars every day. And again, this is what they consider their leverage. Because they lost so much on the battlefield, they are looking again to the Strait of Hormuz. And that is why you heard that statement from Iran's IRGC overnight, threatening to close the strait in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. And again, President Trump tells Fox News he told Iranian officials directly, you close it and you won't have a country. Now, I also
Missa said, thanks for the show. Thanks for the follow. Still love your show. You got it. Wasn't me said, is Guardian Angel a Guido working for Corleone? Jesus.
also asked the president about the situation in southern Lebanon and the exchange of fire between Israel and Hezbollah. Remember, 5 IDF soldiers were killed over the weekend by Hezbollah. The Israelis responded with a
Thank you, Bill, for big W for Will in the chat there. It's donated between 2 donations, $100 today. Big W there, Bill.
Series of airstrikes across southern Lebanon. The president told me he is disappointed Israel can't put Hezbollah away. He went on to say they can't do anything without knocking buildings down, and that he is close to giving it to Syria. And he is talking about empowering Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara to actually go into southern Lebanon and fight Hezbollah, because the president believes that he would do a more precise job in terms.
Bill said, sorry, I didn't see the message. Your message is good to counter the White House propaganda and his followers. Here's another donation. Thank you.
In terms of the way he would deal with Hezbollah, not knocking down buildings, but fighting them on the ground. And so, again, the president expressed what we had heard from President Trump just a week ago, his frustration, or better put, his disappointment with the Israelis and the way that they are fighting Hezbollah. Remember, 5 IDF soldiers were killed over the weekend by Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Right. But again, when we zoom out here, there's...
I would just like to point out once again that, like, the way that we talk about Hezbollah and the way that Fox News talks about Hezbollah and the disappointment, Hezbollah is fighting the Israelis because the Israelis are doing a genocide. This is like being upset at the Poles in World War II. I can't believe the Polish are still fighting the Nazis. Yeah, well, not only, I mean, it's pretty similar too. Like, the Nazis invaded Poland, and also they were doing a genocide. And here we have Israel, who's invaded Lebanon and is also doing a genocide. And like, I don't know how we're both siding this. I think it's fair to attack somebody who's doing a genocide. I don't have a problem with that. Amy said Iran officials hearing Trump with the laughing emojis. Yeah, they know he's incredibly weak. It's been pathetic, and it's shocking to sometimes watch some of you guys still pretend that he's not weak and that he's a good negotiator. He's not even part of the negotiations, and he's picked the worst negotiating team in the history of negotiating teams. They're just getting trounced. The one capable person they have to negotiate this is Marco Rubio, and he's just sidelined.
A lot on the table. Yeah. And the president also spoke about the situation in Gaza. He said at this moment, Hamas is not causing a lot of problems in Gaza, and that the process needs to play out with the ceasefire agreement there. And that he says the focus should be on the agreement with Iran, because once Iran is taken care of, many of these other issues will fall into place. Guys.
Yeah, the president, based on what you're telling me, clearly sending a very strong message to Israel, saying it's too brutal the way you're handling.
Why should we trust the opinion of a man who's admittedly more emotional than his emotional wife? I think you might be talking about me. I'm not married. But also, you can trust people who are emotional. Having emotions doesn't mean you're untrustworthy. In fact, I would say people who are transparent with their emotions and are generally more honest people. But thank you.
I think an al-Qaeda guy can do it better, more precisely than you. Not a good look for Israel, for sure, in this.
Am I comparing Jews to Nazis? I'm comparing the Israelis to Nazis, the IDF specifically, and Zionists. Yes, I don't think there's a big difference in ideology between the Zionists and the Nazis, just who they're attacking. It doesn't really matter to me which group you're attacking. If you're attacking people based on their ethnicity, their skin color, their religion, I don't make like I don't draw a distinction there. I think that, yeah, the Zionists and the Nazis share the same ideology with just a different target.
Had on the president earlier, Herzog from Israel, who spoke with Griff, and he promised that they had no territorial ambitions in Lebanon, or specifically in southern Lebanon, which would indicate that when this is over, they're going to return the land back to the Lebanese who have been displaced there. Now, we just saw JD Vance very diplomatically handling things in Lucerne, Switzerland, and then your conversation with the...
Not very diplomatically. We'll show. If we might not get to it today. It might be tomorrow, but we might get to it.
President, a lot more aggressive Is this a case of good cop, bad cop?
I would say that the president is looking at the reality on the ground. And when the Iranians are making statements about closing the Strait of Hormuz, first of all, we know that that's propaganda because international shipping data indicates that many vessels are still passing through the Strait of Hormuz, this critical waterway. But the president clearly, he told Fox News, wanted to send a direct message to Iranian officials, even telling those officials, you won't even make it back to your country if you close the Strait of Hormuz. I think it's also important to note the fact that so much oil actually made it out yesterday, 19 million barrels, according to President Trump. That's a very significant number and an indication that there
I was shocked. I thought that was a made-up number when I heard it, and I looked, and that's like the average, like 20 million barrels is basically what goes in and out of there every day. I thought for sure when I heard 19 million that that was a made-up number. It's true.
are still vessels leaving the Persian Gulf. And this is not talking specifically about Iranian
Somebody asked me about what the French senator said. No, I don't know what the French senator said. I don't even know who you're talking about.
ports. We're talking about these Gulf countries, allies of the United States. And the president said there was such a backlog of oil that it's now gushing out of the Persian Gulf. And you think about just how still things were in this region, and now that it is open again, these vessels can actually export.
No, Christopher, I'm with you. I saw you say that earlier. You're right. The population of Israel wants somebody more radical than Netanyahu. The criticism of Netanyahu right now is coming from the right. Yeah. The folks in Israel are like, Zionism is popular. It's not the same as it is here in the United States. Zionism is very popular in Israel, and like to an extent, that makes more sense that it would be more popular there because they are getting hit with bombs, and with your being bombed, you're going to side probably with your government. You have innocent people dying. You're probably going to feel like whoever sent those bombs was evil, and you're not going to maybe acknowledge that your government is doing the same thing. But yeah, like the criticism of like Netanyahu might be a better option than whoever's next in Israel. I don't think we should have any faith that getting rid of Netanyahu would fix any of these problems. It may get worse. I probably agree with you on that. These are evil, genocidal ethno-supremacists.
This oil. But I think really an important point here is what the president is leaving on the table as it relates to the Strait of Hormuz. He says, we may take over the strait if we have to. I'll blow the S out of them. And he is talking about the fact that if the Iranians try to close the Strait of Hormuz, not only will the U.S. open the strait, they'll take control of the strait and be the guardian angels of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East, and then ultimately take a percentage of the oil that is passing through. And again, this is an indication that President Trump is signaling to the Iranians that are currently at the table in Switzerland, make these concessions about your nuclear program, adhere to the memorandum of understanding, or there would be serious consequences that would actually reverse what they are trying to do, saying that if they don't make a deal, we'll collect tolls, the United States of America.
But let me drill, Trey, quickly into exactly what Rachel's talking about, the look of a good cop, bad cop, because when Iran's president, Pezeshkian, said that Iran will maintain the right to enrich uranium, it flies in the face of the entire goal that Vice President Vance just laid out on camera at historic, first time ever in history, Iran and the U.S. meeting at a high level, and Vance saying that if Iran will abandon their nuclear ambition, then they will receive a fundamentally different relationship with the U.S.
We did this before. Why are they pretending the JCPOA didn't exist before? What is he do? Unprecedented. Never happened before. It's a watered down version of the JCPOA. They are terrified to ever credit Obama with anything. What do you mean unprecedented? What year was that? What year was that signed? Was it 2015? Is that the year it was signed? 2014? Unprecedented? That's crazy. How can they do that? How can they say that with a straight face? This is historic. It has never happened before unless you go back 10 years, in which case it's happened.
Does President Trump even have it? Does he pretty much has to tell the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, that he should watch his mouth because he's threatening to derail this on the eve of it actually happening.
I also want to point out that telling somebody that if they don't watch their mouth, they'll derail the negotiation is just further proof that maybe men are a bit emotional. And Trump's like, if he doesn't stop saying the mean things, then I'm gonna stop this negotiation and I'm gonna blow up his country. Yeah, perhaps Donald Trump's a little too emotional for this role.
Yeah, President Trump actually left open the concept of a civilian enrichment program in the future for Iran. But remember, they're working out the details of Iran's nuclear program that includes that buried highly enriched uranium around 60%, but also the rest of the program. And again, President Trump responding directly to the comments from Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. I actually read him the text of what President Pezeshkian said, and he responded saying he better watch his mouth, he better shape up, or we'll take over the rest of the country. And so again,
The rest? What part of the country do you currently? You mean all of it? You'll start taking over the country?
the president wants to keep things on course here as it relates to these conversations that are taking place in Switzerland today. And the next phase in all of this is the detailed discussions about Iran's nuclear program. It is a 60-day window.
Obama gave them billions. Be real, Iran liar always. Thank you.
And a lot of people have commented on this agreement and expressed opinions about what it means. We have to look at the facts on the ground here. And again, according to President Trump, the man who signed the memorandum of understanding, this is just an option. He says, I have a 60-day option, and I can do whatever I want after that option. Clearly, President Trump believes
That's just all posturing. The response to this was fucking hilarious. This made me laugh legitimately out loud. This is just, it's a quick video, but this is Trey Gowdy. He has on Mike Pence. And they're talking about Iran. And now, Mike Pence is a war hawk. Mike Pence has an opinion on this that I hate far more than Donald Trump's. He thinks we should just keep, as a good Christian man, he thinks we should just fucking keep killing Iranians. But Trey Gowdy, who is not, I swear to God, that's not a human being. There's just no fucking way that that is a human being. How did he get that look? That's not a human. And the reason I maybe think he's not a human is because the question that he asks Mike Pence here.
With our CIA director, John Ratcliffe. I've seen his patience run out with me on the golf course. I don't know if you've ever seen his patience run out, but that is not something the Iranians, I think, want to see.
Let's do it again.
John Ratcliffe. I've seen his patience run out with me on the golf course. I don't know if you've ever seen his patience run out, but that is not something the Iranians, I think.
Pence is like, yeah, this one time we used to work together. I was his number 2, and he ran out of patience with me, and he sent a bunch of dipshits to the Capitol to try and murder me. And they were chanting that they wanted to hang me, and they burst through the Capitol after beating the shit out of police officers trying to find me. I wouldn't even go with Secret Service because I was afraid they were going to kidnap me. Yeah, the audacity of Trey Gowdy. I don't know if you've ever been on the wrong side of Donald Trump's anger, but it's pretty. He yelled at me on the golf course one time. Have you ever had anything that bad? Yeah, I think maybe. I think perhaps I have had an experience that is more significant. Mike Pence's face when he says it too kills me.
Seen his patience run out, but that is not something the Iranians, I think, want to see. Mr. Vice President, thank you for your service.
That killed me when I saw that. Amy said Iran is fighting a whole different war. Iran does not care about us booming. Yeah, true. All right, let's get to JD Vance and then we'll wrap it up for today. This is back to Batia Ungar Sargon, again, the Zionist over at News Nation. They got a lot of Zionists over at News Nation.
Vance was the only administration official defending the president's memorandum of understanding with Iran.
I can't pause it. Hold on. There we go. Thanks, Twitter. What a great site. Always works really well. The Zionists are just blaming JD Vance because they're afraid to blame Donald Trump, which is crazy. It's also funny that JD Vance just took this role. Trump's like, you have to own this now. He hasn't been involved really at all, and now he just owns it because Trump knows how bad this is for him. But the Zionists are all too ready to bury JD Vance, and here she is again blaming JD Vance for this memorandum of understanding.
Vice President JD Vance has had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad week. On a media tour for his new book about his Catholic conversion, Vance was the
I'm not going to make it till the end. I have to pee real fast, so I'm going to let this play. I'll be right back.
only administration official defending the president's memorandum of understanding with Iran. And for 5 days straight, the vice president gaslit, sneered, prevaricated, and straight up lied to our faces about what was in the MOU, why it wasn't being released, and a host of other things. It began with Vance telling Jake Tapper something that came across as wildly and dangerously credulous. The coolest thing about the progress we've made over the last few weeks is that you see people within the Iranian system, senior leadership, even IRGC officials say, you know what? We may have some animosity, we may have some mistrust, but we recognize the way that we've done business with the United States for 47 years is a mistake. Let's try something else. Well, gosh darn it, how cool is that? The Iranians want to be our friends. Let's believe them. That's a great idea. Vance also contradicted himself on the crucial question of releasing funds to the Islamic regime. In one interview, he said that Iran could have access to $300 billion, and then later clarified that not a single cent of American money goes to Iran. I guess it's a little better that it's someone else's money, but it doesn't quite solve the problem of Iran getting access to funds to keep being the leading state sponsor of terrorism. Vance kept giving this.
I'm tired of that. I feel like as proud Americans, and especially you, MAGA, how is it possible that we allow American journalists to go on TV and claim that Iran is better at sponsoring terrorism than us? This is the United States of America. We are a proud people. And when we do things great, we demand respect. How dare these conservatives go on TV and give credit to Iran for something that we're clearly so much better at? We're clearly better at sponsoring terrorism. It's incredible stuff. How dare she?
Same bizarre explanation for why the MOU wasn't being released, saying at first that the...
Is there a chance Trump wanted Iran to lash out to his crazy rhetoric while they had easier access to a high-ranking official? No. I guess. Anything's possible. There's no chance Trump is thinking that far ahead. Trump woke up. I honestly believe that Trump woke up one day and the people around him said, we should sign this memorandum of understanding. You're getting killed in the polls. There's no way, we don't have the support to go into Iran. Sign it, go sell it. He went out and he sold it. That's what I think happened. So is there a chance that he wanted them to lash out? Yeah, maybe, probably not his plan. So I guess there's always a chance, but no, I don't think that's what happened.
Qataris and Pakistanis asked them not to release the full text.
We sponsor terror? Where? Literally everywhere. The entire continent of Africa, the Middle East, South and Central America. We've sponsored terror here at home. Here. Are you unaware of the CIA? Have you heard of the CIA before? You know about that? You know about the CIA funding terrorism all over the world? How about what Israel's done? Yeah, we sponsor terrorism everywhere. We sponsored the same people who did 9/11. We sponsored at one point. We were helping them out. We backed Saddam Hussein and then murdered Saddam Hussein. We do this all the time. That's the problem. That's why Iran hates us. We helped them do a coup and install democracy, and then we didn't like what they chose with their democracy, so then we overthrew that government too. It's what we do.
But then he changed his tune at a press conference on Thursday, saying it was Iran that wanted it held
Guess you're
back.
right. I appreciate that, Salvatore. Thanks for being good faith. Appreciate that.
The administration was complying out of some kind of cultural sensitivity. I'm sorry, but what? What about the sensitivity to my culture as an American who is entitled to know what her government is up to? Vance gave a list of ways that the MOU he signed was...
I don't know what that meant. First of all, I'm with you. We should know what our government's up to, but I don't know, what does that mean with this memorandum? They wrote it down. You can read it. You see what they're up to. They signed a memorandum of understanding. It was transparent what they were doing.
Better than the JCPOA, most of which were just outright lies.
So there are many differences. The Obama deal gave them over $1 billion of American money.
That's not true. That's a lie. It was their money.
This deal gives them $0.
You get it? We hate America? Yeah, for sure. That's what it is. That's what I would do. If I was, if I didn't have a response to the United States funding terrorism all around the world for a century, and I didn't have a response to any of those accusations, I also would just be like, you hate America.
Of American money. So a lot of substantive differences.
False. Like the money we're releasing now, the $1.7 billion given by the Obama JCPOA was Iran's own frozen assets. Vance implied that all opponents to this.
I love seeing the Zionists now just change their tune. They're like, oh, actually, what Obama did was the same as this. Because they can't really lie about Trump right now where they're fucked. They can't be like, Trump is giving American money to the Iranians. But they also want to criticize JD Vance. So they're now forced in this position where they're having to fact check Donald Trump. And they have to take his side. So they're like forced into a position where they tell the truth. This is what it took for Zionists in America and conservatives in America to start telling the truth, is get Donald Trump to do the exact same thing that Obama did. And then suddenly the truth comes out. You're like, actually, yeah, it is exactly the same. For all of you, just for anybody that's MAGA here still, I need you to know and remember that until last week, you all said Obama gave $1 billion to Iran, and he didn't. He took frozen assets and unfroze them, and it went to Iran. And that's exactly what Trump's doing. And the only reason that people are saying that now on the right is to defend Trump. So you were all willing, everybody you listened to, they were willing to lie to you over and over and over again about Obama. And as soon as Trump did it, they're like, actually, let's have some nuance here.
Terrible MOU are war hawks who want a forever war and boots on the ground, who have some kind of bloodthirst for endless Iranian deaths. Just an appalling straw man.
Is that an appalling straw man? I don't like agreeing with JD Vance here, but it does seem like that the only people against this MOU are people who want the war to continue. That does seem, I mean, that's what she wants. Listen to this explanation.
I don't know anyone who wants boots on the ground. The whole point of the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz was that we didn't need boots on the ground. And while Vance spent all week talking about how
they stopped the Strait of Hormuz. We didn't do the blockade. There was like already a dam. It's like there's a dam. Like you just going upstream to a river. You're like, oh, there's a dam, and it's none of the water's coming out. And then you lay down like 4 rocks in the river, and you're like, see, look what I did. I stopped the flow. Yeah, I think it might be that big giant cement structure there on the other side of that, or holding that reservoir back.
How cool the IRGC is. He repeatedly blasted Israel, Israelis, and Israeli politicians, inventing bizarre scenarios in which he fantasized about how many Iranians Israel wanted to kill.
All of them. That's what. If you heard of Ben Gvir, go check out what Ben Gvir says about the Iranians. He wants to kill a lot of them, most of them, maybe all of them.
Here's how he ended his press conference.
Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have, and anybody in Israel who...
I mean, based JD Vance, what are we doing here? Doesn't this feel so weird? It feels uncomfortable right now. It feels very strange to watch JD Vance just like quote what we've been saying. Just overnight, they're like, we've changed our tune. All of those people protesting on college campuses were right.
Thinks their biggest problem is the president of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in.
Let JD cook. Yeah, we're all JD Vance fans today.
Apparently,
this sucks.
According to our vice president, you got to hand it to the Iranians for negotiating in good faith.
Yeah. Yep.
It's Israel that's the real impediment to peace.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Who has Israel's back? Look at those eyes. Good Lord. Together. Who is on the side of Israel at this point? Israel? That's it?
Here's the truth. Vice President JD Vance just brought the great United States to its knees with a humiliating deal weeks before our 250th birthday, and he's
yeah, it wasn't bringing the U.S. to its knees when we got duped into bombing Iran, right? When we got lied to they've got a nuclear weapon, it's coming. When we're on our knees for Israel, they love it. Oh, you guys are such great partners. Like, if any of you had a partner who just every time you were around each other, they got on their knees and sucked your dick, you'd probably be like, that's a great partner. But your partner might be like, after a while, like, this isn't such a great deal for me. Because every time after I suck your dick, you punch me in the face. And then you steal my money. And you steal all my ideas. Yeah, like Israel's not a great partner.
Decided, like
I was happy to see the United States and Iran 69 each other. That was better. Both people, both sides got something out of it. We like that. Mutual masturbation is better than just getting on your knees for Israel.
many before him, to blame Israel for the mess his administration created.
You're
if
welcome,
this was
ma'am.
a dry run for 2028, it was at least very clarifying.
JD Vance is gonna have a problem running in 2028 with Zionists. He's also going to be have a problem with people who like humans with a personality. That's going to be tough for him. Thank you. I thought it was a good analogy too that Crow Guy ate. I thought so too. All right, where are we at time wise? 10 more minutes. Okay. Let's do this. Here, let's just finish up with a couple JD Vance clips and then we'll get out of here. But this was him trying to defend Donald Trump's rhetoric about Iran trash talking. And once again, just everybody who claims they're tough and is an alpha and makes violent threats, those are the most thin-skinned people. JD Vance, kind of a bitch. Donald Trump, kind of a bitch. They can't handle criticism. It makes them upset. And they put on this like brave face where they're confident, but everything said about them bothers them. And they never respond to what's to the actual criticism. They just attack back. These are thin-skinned people. These are not the alpha males that you think they are. But here's JD Vance backing Donald Trump, saying, "You better watch out if you say the mean words to us."
What we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the President of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that
He didn't really correct the record. He just threatened to kill them. I don't know. If you get trash talked, I don't think you need to threaten to kill somebody. Maybe trash talk back.
true, the president is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the president of the United States is actually going to set the record straight.
For the record, the threat that Trump made was that he was going to assassinate the Iranian negotiators. That's a very, Israel's over there like, yeah, I like that. Finally, you're making some sense. Yeah, that's right. Just murder and the people who are negotiating. Kill this whole deal. Donald Trump just keeps slipping back into Zionism every time his feelings get hurt.
That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
All right. Then there was this, which I thought was a bizarre thing that he said. Like, this is that repositioning that Trump was doing, like saying that, you know, we're the guardian angels. We're the U.S. Negotiators now trying to reposition this. Like, we actually just stepped in for the region. We're here for the region. Bitch, this war wasn't going until you started bombing them. We started this thing. We can't blame anybody else for this war. Don't say, oh, we're doing this for Saudi Arabia and for Qatar. Well, you could have not bombed them. That would have been the easiest way to do this.
Have you spoken with Prime Minister Netanyahu during any of this process at all in the recent days?
Yeah, we were in constant contact with the Israelis yesterday, but also, of course, with the Saudis and the Emiratis and others in the region. We talked to the Lebanese yesterday as well, so we're constantly trying to keep our regional friends updated about this. This is not a deal that the United States is imposing on the region. This is a deal that the region has desperately asked the United States to put in place.
Why, though? Why did they desperately want this deal in place? Was it because when you attacked Iran, Iran started attacking them because we had bases in those countries? Was it because the Strait of Hormuz was closed? Was it because it caused like massive fighting and Israel started invading Lebanon, Syria? Perhaps it's fun. Like we didn't do this. They all wanted a deal. Yeah, a deal for what? For the war to end. And who started that war? You did. I think we imposed it on them.
Obviously, the headlines have been very focused about what's been going on between the United States and Iran, but this region has been a basket case for a very long time. And what the president has set us to do, again, lay the foundation, see if we can get to a permanent peace. If we can't, the President of the United States still has a lot of options to accomplish America's security objectives, but he has certainly committed us to this pathway for now, and we're going to keep on working and seeing what we can accomplish.
All right. That was a weird way that they phrased that. I guess that's what you do. I guess that's how you try and spin this, because you can't get up there and be like, this war was a colossal fuck up. We should not have done that. So I guess that's the spin that you do, but everybody knows that's bullshit. Now I love this, because JD Vance, he's a man of ideas. Not recycled ideas, his own ideas. JD Vance always comes up with his own ideas. And I got to say, maybe a Nobel Peace Prize is in place in store for Jared Kushner and JD Vance for this totally original idea that they came up with.
So Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying, or not all Iranians, I want to be clear, there are a lot of Iranians.
The JCPOA and the money that was unfrozen for Iran, somebody can correct me, it's either Qatar or Oman, held that money. And in order for Iran to spend that money, the United States, and ultimately, I think it was Qatar, had approval. And the approval, in order to get approval to spend that money, it had to be spent on humanitarian aid. They are word for word copying the JCPOA. And the second thing he's saying, where he's like, and then they will buy American agricultural goods, is nowhere in that memorandum of understanding. So I guess potentially they could, right? Maybe the U.S. would approve it if they said, like, well, if there's something that you guys don't grow that we grow, we'll approve the release of these funds if you buy it from Americans. So I admit he's very smart. I do think it's very smart. I think it is very smart of them to copy the JCPOA. I didn't say it was a bad idea. I thought it was funny that they were like, Jared came up with this brand new idea that nobody ever thought of that's exactly what was in the JCPOA. I think that that's smart for him to copy that. I agree with that. I think if you see a good idea that works, you should copy it. Not all intelligence means that you have to come up with new ideas. Sometimes copying ideas that worked is a good idea. But calling it a new thing that Jared Kushner came up with is a little silly, right?
Who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic.
Sounds like the renewal of USAID a little bit. Why is he involved again? He's the fall guy. All right, last one, then we'll get out of here for today. Yeah, I think maybe two more. Let's see. Two more. We've got a new term that you're going to hear from everybody, which I like. It's a deconfliction mechanism. This is some real tech talk. Again, all they're doing is talking about how they're redoing the JCPOA and calling it new.
Did you going in expect the Iranians to make Lebanon as much of a linchpin as they ended up doing? And how would you describe the progress on Lebanon? I know Mr. Arachi said it was very good progress, but what's your characterization of it?
Yeah, I would describe it as very good progress, too. I mean, look, we want a regional ceasefire, right? We want Hezbollah to stop firing at our friends in Israel. We want Israelis to be able to live in peace. We also want to make sure that,
You pussy. You absolute fucking pussy. We want Hezbollah to stop firing on Israel. We want Israel to live in peace. Israel is in Lebanon. Israel is firing on Hezbollah. It's so crazy that even now, we still can't call balls and strikes with Israel. Israel invaded a different country, and Hezbollah is firing on Israel, who invaded another country. And the best he can come up with is, we want peace. We want Hezbollah to stop firing back at Israel for invading Lebanon. He was close. You were so close to abandoning Zionism altogether, but I guess not.
When things happen, they don't spiral into a broader escalation. And so we've been, I think, very good at setting up what we're calling a deconfliction mechanism. But what it really is to say that when things happen,
It's a mechanism to undo conflict.
the sides are actually talking to one another. Sometimes, you've got a bit of a chicken and egg problem, that you've got a junior guy who fires a drone that didn't have approval from the high command. Okay, of course, Israel has to respond to that. But then sometimes that response, we could actually have a better and more peaceful situation if Israel responds in the context of a conversation that's ongoing between Hezbollah, Lebanon, Israel, and other partners in the region. There really hasn't been a mechanism to have those discussions until basically around 4 p.m. yesterday, Bergenstock time.
Well, there was the JCPOA. We haven't had it for a few years, but there was a mechanism in place. And we ripped that up.
When we set that up. So what we're trying to do is to say, first of all, Israel and every other nation in the region has the right.
Yeah, exactly. It acts like nobody has ever done diplomacy. We're calling it a deconfliction mechanism. What it is speaking to each other. Nobody's ever thought about this before. Just speaking one to another and coming up with a compromise. We call that a deconfliction mechanism. This is the most tech speak thing. Like, they always just have some sort of catchphrase for something obvious. You should communicate with each other. Yes, and let's brand that.
Self-defense, but we want to make sure that everybody has that right of self-defense in the background where we're talking about how to de-escalate these conflicts rather than spiraling out of control. Sometimes what will happen is that if the conflict spirals out of control, that's worse for everybody's self-defense and worse for everybody's security. So we've actually got the process in place to ensure that that escalation doesn't happen. Now, I will say
the process is just speaking to each other. This could have been a 10-second clip. We talk to each other now instead of just bombing them.
You already see the fruits of that. Over the past 24 hours, have probably been the most peaceful that we've seen the situation in Lebanon. The previous 24 hours were pretty good. Obviously, there was some shooting about 72 hours ago. So this is a work in progress. But what we've done is actually set up the operation so that we can ensure it doesn't spiral out of control in the future.
All right. Crow Guy said, RTP, I can tell you love your job, man. You keep saying one more thing. No, two more things. It's awesome to see. Thanks for the information. Keep up the good fight. That's true. I do love my job, and I appreciate your guys' support. All right, last one here. And this one, I mean it. This time, it's the last one. One thing you can be sure of is that when JD Vance says something is very clear, it is never clear. He just says that so that you forget that what he said or what he's saying isn't clear, and you remember that it's very clear.
Does the U.S. want Israel to withdraw forces from southern Lebanon?
Well, we want Israel's security to be protected, and we also want Lebanon's sovereignty to be protected, and this is going to be an ongoing conversation.
In order for Israel to be protected from the bombs or the fire that they are taking while they have invaded Lebanon, perhaps they should leave Lebanon so they are not being fired upon anymore. So if Israel wants to protect themselves and Lebanon wants to protect their sovereignty, perhaps the invading force that is invading on the sovereignty of Lebanon should leave, and then Hezbollah might stop firing upon them. This is a very simple thing. It is not very clear, JD.
Protected, and this is going to be an ongoing conversation. The Israelis have been very clear. They do not have territorial intentions on South Lebanon. The reason they feel they have to be there is because they're worried about Hezbollah fighters in South Lebanon firing into Israel. We do believe, of course it's going to require a lot of hard work, that we can get to a place where Lebanon's territorial integrity and sovereignty is protected, Israel's security is protected, and that's going to require some coordination with the Lebanese armed forces, and also it's going to require the Iranians to rein in Hezbollah. That's all the sort of things that we were talking about yesterday, and again, I think that we got much further compared to where we were just 24 hours ago.
Yeah, it's not clear, and what they did here, when in speaking of Israel, he said Israel doesn't want to stay in Lebanon. They don't want to take land in Lebanon. This is a map, might be hard to see, that was released by Israel. And the Katz said that the army would occupy southern Lebanon up to the Litany River to create a security zone. Right? That's this. That's this in red here. This is the security zone. You'll notice that the security zone is in fucking Lebanon. So when JD says it's very clear that they have no intentions or territorial intentions of South Lebanon, and Israel then releases a map that says here is the territorial zone that we are talking about in South Lebanon. Perhaps he's not very well informed on Israel's intention to control land in Lebanon. You can't, like, I don't know why we can't just tell the truth about Israel. I don't know why we can't just be like, yeah, knock it off, guys. You guys stop doing genocides, stop invading other countries. Please stop. We don't like you. But that's where we're at. So there's JD Vance making things very clear one last time. All right, that's it for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow morning bright and early, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. If you want to make sure you catch us for the members only event, be a paid member on either of those platforms before Wednesday, and you can catch us for movie night or Thursday when we watch the soccer game together. Until I see you again tomorrow, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't smoke grass or touch grass, best of luck to you. Drink lots of water. Stay hydrated. Say nice things about yourself and to the people that you love. Reach down, grab those bootstraps, pull yourself up by those bootstraps, and then put the boots on the ground. And until I see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.